What tone do you think Ultraman Taro will have?
If Peter's in it.
Is Taro or Leo the next one?
Taro's the next one, then Leo's after that. What are your predictions for those two based on where we're at now in Ace?
Fuck. So here's the thing. Ace is getting kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to determine...
whether they go deeper or pull back.
Does it... Yes, exactly. And I don't know enough about how people felt about Ace at the time to call one way or another yet.
Hang on. We know it's divisive.
Wait, we do know... Oh, Taro's gonna be for babies.
Taro's gonna be for tiny children. The tiniest of children.
And then Leo will be a course correction into the middle again.
Ultraman number 6! ウルトラの父がいるウルトラの母がいるそして太郎がここにいる空を見ろ星を見ろ宇宙を見ろ彼方から迫り来る赤い日を何かが地球に起きるとき腕の鉢が輝いて太郎が飛び立つ太郎が戦う
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q. We're back. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
First Ultraman show to feature both the birthing and unbirthing scene on screen.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's kind of gross. Also joined by Brad.
An Ultraman all about listening to mommy?
I need to take a quick screen cap of my Taro episode 1 notes and send them through to you, because this is... I was... right here.
Alright.
Insane mother content was... also...
You tried respecting women and look how that turned out. Yeah, that's true.
5 question marks on the note that just says tits out. So yeah, Ultraman Taro's we'll be getting into it. I'm simply going to say we were so right. About what the vibe was going to be on Taro.
Yep.
Yeah, I have that clip saved.
Excellent.
In case you ever just want to stick it in the front.
Yeah, I probably will. I probably will put it right in the front of this podcast, just to brag. So this, if for anyone unfamiliar with us who's just like, oh, I like Ultraman Taro, and I'm going to listen to this podcast. Hello, we're a podcast going through all of the Ultra series in chronological order, asterisk.
Or release order.
Release order, not chronological order. It's been 4 weeks since we did a podcast. We took a little break. Also,
I don't even know what chronological order for Ultraman would even look like.
Well, you have to watch that episode of Ultraman Ace. You have to watch like the first episode of Ultraman Ace before Return of Ultraman.
Yeah.
And then you have to watch Return of Ultraman, and then there's like 2 more shows, and then you can watch the episode where Hokuto says it's been 3 years since I joined the Terrible Monster Attack crew. Which, by the way, crew names. We'll be getting into this a little bit once we actually get to Ultraman Taro. But weird one this time. Little unconventional. Not what I was expecting.
More creative than whatever Attack was going for.
Yeah. Now, usually, what we do is, and we're doing it this time as well, is we kind of use this podcast to also just hang out and chat and talk shit. And so we come with, what we've been doing for the last week.
Yeah.
And no, not necessarily doing that for 4 weeks worth of stuff. If
compilation
we've got
version,
anything,
movie
if we've got
version.
anything, compilation, you're going to have like a montage. Who wants to go? Do you want to go first? Do I want to go first?
I'll go first.
You can go first.
Yeah. So I've been up to a bit. Not like I got stuff in the oven for later. There's technically some stuff I finished that normally I would have brought up, but I have ways of revisiting it later, so we can revisit them another time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just do. I got like a couple quick ones, and then maybe one that's maybe a bit longer. So first, rapid fire. Finally finished Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Good show.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, shit, I forgot about that show.
Yeah, I mean, I started in like November and then forgot about it for a while. Yeah, it was good. I watched the English dub because even though it's, made in Japan, I was like, oh yeah, the guys, they're getting the voices back. That's cool.
Chris
I get to
Pine.
hear Toronto pronounced correctly. That's cool. And yeah.
Nice.
It is bizarre hearing Chris Evans as the voice actor.
Yes.
Frankly, I'm a little surprised he came back.
I mean, yeah.
After he's like, yeah.
Captain America.
It's I imagine it's just one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Sure.
Yeah, it's good. I think it was cool the way I revisited it. Obviously, I watched it. Well, not obviously, but I did watch it fairly removed from where I watched the comics, which was like in high school. So that was like over a decade ago. So there may be things like I missed just on account of like, well, if I read the comics in advance, maybe it would be fresher. But it's fine. It's not necessary. I think it's probably assuming that maybe some people were like, oh yeah, you're not touching. You're coming back to Scott Pilgrim after like a long time. So.
That would be me. It's been forever since I've engaged with any of that stuff.
Yeah, and it's just cool because it's just like. So I'm not remember. There's a lot of the comic I'm not remembering, but it is definitely like a story focused on like Ramona and her exes, which is cool.
Yeah, it's good Evil X content.
Yes, just like giving them like growth and personality in ways that like. Sides of them you didn't see in like the original comic, where they're mostly like an antagonist that Scott punches while he's getting over his own shit. And yeah, it's pretty cool. If I ever want to rewatch it with like the Japanese voices, like I said, that could be used as an excuse to like, oh, I'm gonna reread the comic first, and then
The one thing I'll tell you about that is the songs are still in English.
Well, that's fine.
Which is kind of it's like a reverse. I think one time someone I know who only watches like dubbed anime or like when they can watches a dub. They watched K-On! And they were like, "This is good," but all the songs they didn't translate any of the songs.
Yeah, one of the Crunchyroll's really bad at this, where it's like even if the show is in Japanese, still they don't sub the songs. Which is
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, this is a tangential complaint. I can hear the real rhymes with my ears. I don't need the translation to rhyme. That's not a real rhyme in the song. It'd be one thing if they're dubbing it, but for subtitles you don't necessarily need it. Yeah, if it's a dubbed, if you're dubbing it, put in the effort. If it's not, I'm hearing the song. The song is playing right now. It's not what I'm reading. Anyway.
I'll be honest, there's been enough times that I've had, like, a scene where someone's supposed to sing, like, a really beautiful song ruined by, like, the dub just completely fucking it up, that sometimes when it's still in Japanese, I'm like, yeah, that's fair, please preserve the emotional impact of this, instead of having to shoot something out of this.
I wonder if, because I think, from what I've heard, I think Haruhi has a good dub, but I don't know if God Only Knows is, like, presumably they dubbed that. I don't know. I have to go listen to that as soon as this podcast is done.
I feel like I've heard that, and it's, like, not absolutely the worst thing, but, like, it's not. It's not
quite. It's not that.
Yeah,
it doesn't have it.
There.
Technically, the Sailor Moon theme is dubbed in English.
True, but, like, that's a classic.
Yeah. But it is the, like, the one case I can think of where it's like, oh, the Japanese OP is the same, like, melody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else about Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah. No.
Or well, you got other stuff?
Yeah. Transitioning from Toronto Monogatari to other Monogatari, I've also started Monogatari rewatch alongside the new season.
I see.
That's been cool. I've been enjoying the new season as it goes. We'll see how it ends, because it is like the off-end monster season weird titling.
Okay.
Where it's like...
So, I do have a question about this, which is, I thought Monogatari had, like, reached a conclusion. Like the show. I know that there's more books after that?
Yeah, so there's first season, then there's the second season of novels, then there's the final season of novels, which includes Owari Monogatari, which, you know, Owari means end, and then Zoku Owari, which is just like, this is definitely the end. And they just kept writing them.
I see.
So Cash Monogatari won out in the end, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And he might also just be like, I just feel like creatively writing more with these characters. Like,
everyone seems to really love this new stuff. So, you know.
Yeah, like, off season, from my understanding, is like between final and monster season, because he's grouping the novels in seasons for some reason. But like, off season was like, all right, Aragi's off to college, and here's like other characters who are just sort of off figuring out their own shit without Aragi, because he's off getting a degree.
He's not been arrested.
Yeah.
Damn,
and then, like,
that's crazy.
The main arc that we've gotten so far in the anime from the off season is one where Nadeko figures out her shit, and the other one that's like an origin story for Shinobu.
Okay.
But there's more arcs. I'm not actually sure how they're doing it, because there's a lot of... Because they're adapting, like, both... The other, like, Monster Season came after Off Season. That's, like, it seems more like a sequel where, oh, well, here's college Aragi solving mysteries. And they're cramming them all into one season. I'm like, how are they doing this? Are they going to do, like, a second batch to fill in the gaps? Because it feels like they're jumping around with the novels a lot, so I don't know how they're doing it. But as for, like, rewatch, I've, like, seen for all of the quote-unquote first season at this point. So that's Bake, Kizu, Nisei, and Neko Black. This time I decided, hey, technically I've watched an anime release order already, so I may as well try novel release order by the anime time.
I see.
And part of that is, for whatever reason, I had never actually watched the Kiss of Monogatari movies, so I was like, well, I'm going to use this as an excuse to watch them sooner.
Nice.
And that was cool. There was cool movies. Is kind of neat watching Bake Monogatari and going, oh, it's like, one, still very good. I still rate it highly. Just kind of feeling, oh yeah, there's a reason a while ago I considered, like, I first watched these like a decade ago, and I was like, well, I consider these like a favorite of mine at the time. And distance from it made me go, do I still like this as much as I thought I did? And then I go back to, oh yeah, I really like it a lot. Even if, you know, Araki is like that. derogatory. But it's one thing that's definitely like hard to ignore in Nisei compared to the other stuff. But
so this might be related, but so my only experience with this franchise is the one song everyone knows, and then also one time I asked someone who like I barely knew, like, "Hey, is this any good?" And then their response, which has stuck with me for years, was, "Don't you have a little sister?" And I said yes, and they said you probably shouldn't watch it then. And that intimidated me so much, and I don't know what that means. I was just like, maybe I'll get around to that at some other point.
I think you gotta, like, if you can just, like, see some anime horny bullshit and roll your eyes and go, "Oh, then it'll be fine." But you have to go into it with that expectation in mind. It is interesting just like rewatching back and just being like, oh, it's set up like the style for the future of the franchise, but because there's like a different director on it, it's still stylistically unique compared to them. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Like Nisei is more like what the template of the franchise until now, because I think like there's a new director on the current season. It's more stylistically in line with those. And Kizu is also just like a weird, different stylistic thing that's pretty cool. That has like a red filter over everything, I guess, because vampires and stuff. And it is cool, and it does just make me go, "Oh yeah, I should finish Tsukihime." Just because I'm like, well, if you think about it, cinematic parallels.
It's very funny. The idea of I haven't played Remake. I know people really like the remake Arcade and CL routes, but like the idea of OG Tsukihime playing like the early stuff and then going like, "Oh, I'll get back to this," and then not getting back to this is like this is not quite this is more extreme. This is way more extreme. Mel in a Discord Mel and I are in, there is someone who paused Madoka Magica years ago, just before watching like episode 10. And has yet to go back and keeps going, yeah, eventually. And that has been hilarious. Tsukihime, not Madoka Magica good.
Yeah.
But that's the later stuff is where it's
to be fair,
Tsukihime.
Arguably more influential, but
Arguably more influential. I mean, you're right. You are correct. But that's yeah.
Yeah. When I say finish Tsukihime, to be honest, my first impulse was, oh yeah, I should play some more Melty Blood because watching Araki fight the vampires is cool.
Melty Blood's really fucking good, let me tell you.
There was like, Blood good.
For whatever reason, last week at Locals, there was like 5 setups of Melty Blood, so it was just a nice...
Sometimes they come out. It's just like, oh. I mean, all it takes is one laptop that's like...
Yeah.
Like, you can do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been enjoying Monogatari rewatch, just being like, oh yeah, I like this series a lot. It's been a while since I revisited it, and so rewatching is like some of these older seasons with like future context helps, because I think the last time I watched some of these earlier shows was like in the lead up to second season, which was aired in 2013. So, and it is cool, eating well. Except for maybe that weird compilation movie of Kizu that people saw in theaters that wasn't good, but otherwise.
I did see people. There was like one tweet in particular I saw is like, what was the point of this? What was the point of making a Monogatari thing and taking all the Hanekawa out of it?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I know who that is. That's the glasses girl with big boobs that everyone likes.
Yeah. For context, Brad, imagine if they like... So Kizu Monogatari is like the second novel in the series, but for reasons, it took them like a decade to actually make the movies for it. So it came out like way later anime release order than like novel release order relatively. And And then for whatever reason, the director was like, I'm going to take these 3 movies and make a compilation movie of them that focuses on the fight and takes out, like, the main character dynamic core heart and soul of the movie. For some reason.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. And everyone's like, yeah, this was his passion project. And I'm like, why? Why did you do this? It took
I
me like 7 years
refuse to
make this.
hear the
Sometimes
term.
artists are wrong.
Yeah.
I also refuse to hear the term compilation movie and passion project in the same.
Lol.
Yeah.
Who?
That's why I was so confused.
Tomino looking at A Contact. Yes, it was all building up to this.
Lol.
Yeah.
Fuck be
But-
invoked.
That's strangely personal because of my aunt now.
Yeah.
Why do you think I said it?
Wow. That friendship did end 30 episodes ago. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't kayfabe.
No, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. The thing about Monogatari is that I'm always you know, Joker mode. I'm always one bad day away from just turning on the first episode of Monogatari and going from there.
Yeah. I mean, I think even if you're like intimidated by like watching all of them, I think like backing Monogatari on its own is still a really strong season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see how. Well, I guess my rewatch goes, but also just like the current season. It's looking cool. People being thirsty about college age Araragi, including me. Anyway,
people are thirsting for Araragi. This is new. I didn't know about that.
did you see? They tweeted out a picture of him college age.
Whoa. College age Araragi. I'm looking him up. I'm looking. Is this the art that I'm seeing? Is this him with the long hair?
Scroll. Should we give me the image? There's a particular image they did like a couple weeks ago that I'm trying to.
Well, I might not find this. I'm finding images from wikis. This is not.
Yeah.
Helping. Anyway, thirsting after Araragi sounds hilarious.
Yeah. Look at them though.
Oh, is the image incoming?
It's incoming.
I'm primed. I'm set. I'm ready. Hello? What? Excuse me? Araragi, do up that shirt. This is indecent. What the fuck? This is not. I have not watched Monogatari, but this is not Araragi. I'm not having this.
College changes someone.
Maybe it does.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway. Okay. One last thing. This is the bigger one.
Okay.
Of course, as we all know from GGP, I finished Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the story. You got your Eds, your Owls, they do some adventuring, there's a conspiracy, goes all the way to the top.
It always does.
They
Not
get weirdly
that good.
They got all that liberal about the genocide stuff, and there's a big fight, and you know what? Maybe I don't actually have much to say about Fullmetal Alchemist. Maybe there isn't as much to say about it, and maybe part of that is because around the time I finished Fullmetal Alchemist, I started a different manga series about a protagonist with one arm that blows out of the water. Anyway, I got my finished episode yesterday.
Wait, what did you? Brad said Kagurabachi, and I missed what you said. I was about to be like, oh my god, Mel read Kagurabachi. Let's go.
I'm sorry, Belle. What were you saying?
Anyway, finished another manga about... Not finished. Started another manga about one-armed protagonist that blows film alchemists out of the water. That's right. The actual thing here I'm talking about is Berserk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're like 50 chapters deep or something.
More like 100.
Jesus.
Nice.
I just like binged a bunch yesterday, but I finished the Golden Age arc.
Let's go.
So for context, a couple months ago, just ended, but a couple months ago, Ghost Divers podcast started their season on 97 Berserk, the anime. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I guess I can use this as an excuse to watch Berserk. And that anime was really good. But that anime also ends on like the worst possible cliffhanger one could imagine.
Yep.
I think I have seen that cliffhanger.
Extremely just peak this sucks.
Just like pointing out of the screen, go buy the manga right now.
And I was like, well, shit, I gotta... Now I'm hooked. Now I'm in. I gotta know what happens. And so, I just wanted to at least get past the Golden Age arc. Unfortunately, it's like 90 chapters of fucking repeating a lot of the stuff in the anime. But there's also a lot of details not in the anime that are in the manga that's interesting.
Yeah, sometimes there's like a weird, like, gorilla man.
I could have done without him.
Basically every adaptation takes him out, and I think that's a good move. I really do.
Because there's definitely I think for a long time I was hesitant to get into Berserk because there was like an idea of it I had in my head, of just like its edgelordiness, with the kind of content, and I think it's like there's a lot of ways where I've seen. Both hearing from people whose opinions I trust, and also just like from now experiencing myself, that's a lot more considered with how it uses some of that stuff. But that girl man is just like, this sucks.
It is a like 19 to 20. I think he is literally like 19 or 20 when he starts, and it is a man who is figuring a lot of that out as he goes, and it starts to become less as it goes on, fortunately. And there is a interview that I feel like gets passed around a lot in our circles where he does apologize, like, yeah, I was younger and maybe didn't treat some of that stuff with the weight it deserved.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to push taboos specifically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, finishing the anime and then frame one, opening up the first chapter and seeing that and going, what the fuck am I reading?
Maybe some of the worst opening pages to a masterpiece of all time.
Black Swordsman arc is he took his time to find his footing.
So weirdly enough, I also started rereading Berserk on what I'm pretty sure is my 5th time through. Because I saw you posting panels and I was like, I should read Berserk again.
Did you see the post I made where I was like, well, I passed the anime now?
No, I did not see that.
I can post it in the chat. I don't know. Actually, how much of Berserk do you know read?
I don't know what this is about to be necessarily.
I think it probably works out of context, but like I'll censor it just in case.
Okay.
Because I got to this was like in the middle of a chapter, and I saw this page, and I'm like, yeah, I'm past the anime now.
Yep. Yep. I actually, so on my reread, I just read all of Black Swordsman all in one shot, and I feel like every time I re-experience Black Swordsman, I have this weird ping-pong effect where I'm like, oh, it's not as bad as I remember. Actually, maybe it's a little worse than I remember. Oh, actually, maybe it's not as bad as I remember. And I think this time I landed on maybe not as bad as I remember, but also it's definitely rough and not indicative of what that series grows into.
Yeah, I think it's rough, and like there's a way in which. So I just finished Golden Age, so I need to see how he is in Conviction arc. but the way Guts is in those early chapters just feels like, oh, is this the same guy? Like, he's abrasive and a bit of an ass, even in the Golden Age arc, but, like, the way he is in, like, Black Swordsman, where it feels like he's sneering at people who are victims of circumstance, just feels at odds with, like, how he is later in the manga.
Yeah, I've come to view it as, well, like, obviously the real thing is, like, he's still figuring out the character and the tone he wants to set with him. But I do think, while rough, I do think it mostly works as a trauma-endured regression of growth.
I think I felt a bit better about it after finishing the arc, and you get that panel of him walking away being like, hey, I guess you'll have to kill me, and then you just see him crying.
It's so good.
Because it does make him feel like there's more of like he's also just like, because of like his sort of like quote unquote burden, he's like, well, I don't want to get involved with like more people kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also just like, maybe there's like a degree to which he has to like detach himself from like the stuff he has to witness all the time.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you, because you are on the cusp of like the shit in Berserk that I absolutely love and adore, which is everything beyond Golden Age, where it just becomes a elongated dark fantasy story about a man learning how to trust and love things again. It's amazing.
That feels like really cool. Like, obviously, like, I got hooked because of Golden Age, but I'm also like, everyone I know seems to be like, oh yeah, the stuff past is where the real shit is. And that's
it might be my favorite piece of fiction, like, just in general.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me.
It is interesting, like, the omissions in the anime versus the manga, because, like, obviously the anime has like only it for the Black Sword and stuff, it like only adapts the first chapter and doesn't have like the count.
Which I think is such a mistake, because who cares about the snake guy?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like 50, because on one hand the count's like a better story, but on the other hand, that arc also just like, it shows like the Behelit stuff right at the start, and so you kind of get like a sense of like what the rules of the quote unquote eclipse are well in advance, which is interesting. And so I think the anime is like, especially if they were going for like, if it was trying to sell the manga to people who weren't reading it, it didn't show its hand as much as maybe the manga did originally, of just like, you don't obviously, because of like cultural osmosis, I know what Griffith's trajectory is, but like for someone who maybe is watching the anime without the context of like any knowledge of the manga, especially when if it was like someone who like didn't know about the manga and like was watching the anime as it came out in the 90s, then like the trajectory of where Griffith goes is more of a mystery and like a surprise, I think, and that's interesting, I think.
And so many of the supernatural elements of that show are heightened because they adapt so much of it out in the anime.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy, like just how much is like, it isn't really a fantasy story until like the last 4 chapters, 4 episodes,
and like,
it's just like,
but then also you have like Zod showing up, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Zod is so cool.
I love Zod, one of my favorite characters in that story.
Not to spoil too much, but just like that's sort of like the climax of the Golden Age, just him and his encounter with the person in the spoilered photo in the chat.
Just and there's like such Rickard, a weight of personal history there.
But
it's
like
so
Rickard
good.
Walking up to this, just like, oh hey, what's going on, guys? And then like, it's just like the guy in the picture is just like, oh hey, did they send you to stand guard? And he's like, no, I'm just not about what they're about, but I do like fighting you. And it just is so cool. But yeah, it's just like, that anime is like really good. I definitely recommend it, but also the manga is also really good. Just like I mentioned before, and I felt this a lot with having to read Full Metal Alchemist for GGP the past like previous month. Just like, there's definitely this degree to which manga can take more spoons for me to get through than anime. Maybe some of that's just like reading is more of an active activity than watching. even with subtitles. But the corollary to that is my experience is that if I get really into something, I can burn through it really fast, which is how I read like over like 70 chapters of Berserk last night.
It's a quick read. Like a lot of it's splash pages or like there's not a lot of panels per page.
And like I think the hardest part is both like those first few volumes when you're still in the Black Sword of Berserk, because those are when the chapter's the longest and also it's the least good.
Yeah.
Like when he gets to Golden Age, the chapters start getting shorter, and it's just easier to just burn through it. And like it's weird that it feels like you can read more chapters when they're shorter, even if you're reading more overall. But that's also like me with like TV shows versus movies. Like I can watch like 3 hours worth of TV show more easily than I can like necessarily watch a 90-minute movie. But yeah, it's just cool. There's just like a lot of, it's just good. Even though I'm curious, I obviously want to see like where they go now, or just like the trajectory of like Guts and Griffith's character. Also, Cascus is like just really well done. There's a lot of stuff going on where there's clearly like points where like maybe if something was done differently, then the tragedy could have avoided, but also this sort of like knowing underneath it that like psychologically that there was probably wasn't be a different way things could have gone, and two, even if they had gone, they probably could have went wrong in a different way. Just like, you know, Guts, for instance, Guts not knowing what he has until like he's kind of lost it, and then finding again only to lose it again. But also just like Griffith, you know, he could have been normal about things, but also he's not the kind of person to be normal about those things. So,
but the dream,
the dream just. I don't mean. I mean, obviously both of the dream, but also just like with his sort of like possessiveness towards Guts.
Oh, absolutely,
and not really understanding that friendship, that like understanding as a true friendship until like it's gone from him, because he's like caught up in his own like weird philosophy of things. But sort of like even if Guts had stayed, then maybe it still would have gone bad, just because like how the kind of person Griffith is towards his people. It's there's a lot to think about and chew on, which is why.
Yeah, like there's a scene that I always think about where Guts makes a decision because he overhears someone he respects a lot make like a declarative statement about life and how things should be, and it completely upends Guts's view of what he should be doing in his own life in a way that is like incorrect and deeply unhealthy for him in particular. But there's such a deep understanding of, oh no, this is what someone in this vulnerable of a state would do if they heard someone they deeply care about and respect say, like, oh, this is how it should be. And,
like, the ramifications of that decision caused, like, the thing snowballing downhill.
Yeah.
In ways that, like...
It's Guts, so painfully human.
In some ways, Guts, like, maybe need that distance to realize what he really wanted, but also it's because he had that distance that things get bad. And, like, maybe the person he respected is kind of going, maybe I shouldn't have said that if I had known either, or that kind of thing. Or,
yep.
But also neither of them necessarily know how to talk about their feelings because of who they are as people and also their ages. So it's, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, my spicy take for the day is FMA get fucked. Berserk's pretty good. Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
It is just funny that, like, independently I came to the same conclusion you did about Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, it was just... Full Metal Alchemist's crime, to me, is that it was interesting and was like interested in what it was interested in, and then it just did standard stuff, and I was like, if you're gonna do standard stuff, you shouldn't have done that first bit.
Yeah,
that just feels irresponsible. That's wild, bro.
Definitely. I think a lot of
literally just he's Scar sat there letting those kids be like, you killed my mum, and he should at that moment point at Dr. Marco and say, do you know what that man did?
Me watching Scar's TikTok channel where he's just showing all the state alchemists with red triangles over their head.
Lol. Oh man, yeah. Oh well, Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. I think what Full Metal Alchemist taught me is that I really don't care about shonen at all. I can make exceptions.
Read Kagurabachi.
Kagurabachi's right there, Mel.
You know what? Maybe.
I have more friends jumping on the Kagurabachi trade. They're fucking loving it.
Gonna tell you, it's all right. It's all right. It's not doing like. It's not trying to solve any of the world's problems. It's just, I
think it's trying to solve all those swords out there.
You've got an arc. Yeah, Thunderbolt Fantasy. You've got an arc, and then
that's the other podcast.
Yeah.
It's got. Oh fuck's sake! You've got an arc where there's a bad guy, and there's stakes, and then we beat the bad guy, and then there's another arc where there's a new bad guy and some new underling bad guys.
Oh yeah, that's reminded me. One thing weird that I felt experiencing reading Berserk is there's a lot more of this though. Yeah, we get this bit where they just fight some weird guy.
Yeah.
weird like shonen gimmick guy that's just like, oh yeah, fight this guy for a few chapters.
But yeah, Kagurabachi's fine. Kagurabachi is like, it's all right. It's all right, and sometimes it's got problems. It's got too many. It's got too much like flashback to like 30 seconds ago when we came up with this plan.
Seed.
But no. Gundam Seed just flashbacks to stuff that we've already seen. Kagurabachi's problem is the thing where it's constantly like flashing back to a conversation that they had like a minute ago where they planned this sick, super epic move that they were going to do. And it should stop doing that. It should stop doing that immediately. But otherwise, it's pretty good. I had something. I'm going to try to keep this brief.
My apologies for going for longer than I thought I would.
That is okay. Hang on. What was I? Yes. So the one major thing, there's other major things, but like the one major thing I wanted to talk about is just, I've been trying to get back into reading fantasy fiction. I didn't know everyone on YouTube was annoying like that. I didn't know.
You have to.
I'm gonna type a name. I'm gonna type a name into the chat, and I want you to confirm if this is who you're talking about.
Oh, there's multiple, but this might be one of them. That's one of them.
Yeah, I knew it. I watch that guy, and sometimes I'm like, okay, you're all right. Other times I'm like, please stop talking. You don't know anything.
Yes.
I'm still subbed though. I'm still subbed. I can't say that about most others.
I was like, this guy is. I have my issues, but this guy seems like the cream of the crop. That's not necessarily a compliment, but it's
I will give him credit. There have been multiple occasions where he has got something like horribly wrong, and he like is open about being like, yeah, I fucked that up, which I appreciate. Most YouTubers don't do that.
But the thing that was very funny was like, there's like 2 weeks ago or something, he uploaded a video about the Firefly pilot and how good Firefly is, and I was like, what year is it?
I saw that.
What are you talking about? What? I see, now you've posted the name in the Discord, and I'm
people
doing my.
People can find out who this is very easily.
I'm doing my usual thing where I'm just picking fights publicly. Maybe we'll delete it. Maybe we'll leave it in. We'll leave.
I say leave it in.
I
Okay.
picked a fight with Arlo before. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm still mostly thumbs up on this guy, but also every now and again I'm just like,
this guy's okay. There are people who are worse. There are people who are way worse. But yeah, everything is very annoying, and people talk about books in a way that is insane. I'm like, I don't understand I have seen people complaining about like Book Talk and Booktube abstractly. I have now encountered this, and I've been like, oh, this is what it's not just we're complaining about something that's kind of annoying. This is terrible.
It's real.
It's real, and it's the worst. But
I am so sick of people telling me to read this goddamn fucking lit RPG nonsense. It's not what I want. I don't want to read some escapist horseshit.
I've already seen Naro anime.
Yeah, I watch anime. I'm good. I'm fine. The result is that I've read like a few fantasy novels over the last few weeks. I did Werner Herzog talking about WrestleMania. Do not avert your eyes. I read Fourth Wing. It was not good. It was not good. If it was the truly trashy romance that everyone said it was, it would be better than it is. It was more like, it was kind of, it's a book about falling in love with a bad boy, and he's the perfect man.
See, I think what you really wanted there is probably A Court of Thorns and Roses.
I think I'm good for now. I've because I read this book and it's like, oh, this is a new adult novel, and I'm like, I thought we had squashed that like 10 years ago. I was not aware that was going strong. Apparently it is. And reaffirming my belief that read this book, reaffirm my belief that new adult is just like, those Persona fans who are like, I wish the game was set in college. And it's like,
yeah,
it's not that they don't want to play the high school dating game. They want to play the high school dating game. It's that they don't want to be perceived as weird for it. Or, they want it to be hornier and, without feeling, skeevy. And that's what new adult is to me right now. Having read Fourth Wing, I'm just like, this is a YA novel.
Monster Season is new adult Monogatari.
There you go. He's in college. There you go. Shut the fuck up. But that book was not good. I'm planning on reading Tahanu, and so
nice.
The great thing about reading Tahanu is I can just very quickly reread all the other Earthsea books because they're really short. So I reread A Wizard of Earthsea. That ruled. That book's great. I am listening to Eye of the World by Robert Jordan.
How's that going?
It's like the definition of mid.
Yeah. There's a reason that's the only one of those I got through, and then I was like, I'll get to the rest later.
I like Perrin. Perrin's alright. I like it when he's like, people think I don't think, but I do think, just carefully. I'm like, I like you, Perrin. You're alright.
A big problem with that book?
Yeah?
Centered on an extremely, central mystery that is immediately solved with any... One, it's very obvious. Two, any knowledge of what that series is, immediately just tells you what the answer is.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to keep, listening to those just because, I like to walk, and so I wind up with time. And I can listen to a book. And Eye of the World is okay. It's not exactly... I think that book could be way shorter than it is. I think there were and are a lot of fantasy authors who are trying to tell epic stories who have not realized somehow why you would choose to tell those stories in a more like epic tone. Because they're all writing
it's a fantasy
it
novel, right? That's what the genre is.
No, but they're writing it in like.
That was my sarcasm, by the way.
Oh yeah. They're writing it in like in like a personal, in an immediate way. Like there's an immediacy of action. There's scenes, and like I can tell where the camera is, and it's weird, and it's like so like concerned with like the like little bits of continuity and like painting. There's
the fate route of epic fantasy storytelling.
It's more just like in Earthsea, it can be like you can paint something in broad strokes. You can also like discuss things that you can write about things that take a long time without cutting to a different scene. Like something I remember about reading Game of Thrones was when it hit me that anything that takes a long time happens between chapters. And that stuck out to me. And Eye of the World is kind of mostly the same. There's there's a little less of it, but it's mostly the same. And then I read I read half of it in like the second half of it in like a day. I read Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. That book was fucking great. That was like that's like one of my favorite fantasy novels now. That was incredible. There's some like very fraught stuff in there, like related to like the fantastical calamity that befalls the kingdom at some point. But it's fraught in a way that is like no other book could do it like this. Like it's like because of how how much of the book is just about Fitz and his like interpersonal relationships. The fantasy calamity that befalls this kingdom is like so specific in how it's tied to that, that it's distressing to read. I think it's very. I think there's one prologue to a chapter that I'm like, this is a little much. But I don't know how I feel about this, but I guess we'll have to see in like later books. But mostly Assassin's Apprentice is just incredible, and I think it's just got great characters, and it's told in like this retrospective style where like the main character is remembering things. Where again, you can write about things that take a long time and kind of just describe them happening, in a way that you could kind of do in fantasy novels until everyone decided that we weren't doing that anymore.
Also, let me tell you, as someone who has been poking away at like a short story that is like written in the style of like this is a document that was written by someone else, like that's the frame it was told through, and then discovered by someone else who's like annotated it. It's so hard to figure out the correct level of detail to make something not just blow by without leaving any impact. Painting in broad strokes is way harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And like I'm still trying to figure out what exactly you're supposed to do without also the opposite side is you go way too detailed and it immediately becomes the most boring fucking thing in the world.
Like when you read Romance of the Three Kingdoms, that's like a different style of thing that you can recognize as being distinctive. That's kind of hard to like necessarily recreate, I think.
But also, I do love me, like, the Odyssey, where suddenly it's like, oh yeah, and then years went by.
Yeah.
In, like, a couple sentences.
Yeah. That's
That's the good shit.
That's
I love when we get, like, 10 pages of describing, like, 5 pages of, like, this discussion between two guys in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and then there's, like, a paragraph where it's like, and then he took 10,000 men and stormed the city.
Yeah. Well, That bit's less fun. Yeah, Assassin's Apprentice, very, very, very good book. I was finding myself getting very, very attached to characters in that novel. It's also got one of the funniest punchlines, like a dark comedy punchlines, in a novel that I've read, when a poisoning goes very, very, very wrong. Yeah, it's good. It's basically, it's like, if I had to pitch Assassin's Apprentice, it's like, what if fantasy, like when it's called Assassin's Apprentice, don't think Assassin's Creed, think Hitman. And now imagine that everyone is dog coded, and this is tied into the feudal this is like all about like the feudal hierarchies of lord and subject. That's Assassin's Apprentice. It's really good. I was a very big fan. It's less than 400 pages, but the rest of her books are like fucking huge. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, just tangential to that. The current Shell by Genre season that is just about to start is a fantasy series. So that's cool.
I still.
What are they reading?
I need to get back to Book of the New Sun.
They're gonna start the Last Herald Mage trilogy.
Okay.
I don't even know what that is.
I didn't know until I was told. I looked it up. So
I'm looking it up right now as we speak.
I really need to get back to Book of the New Sun. I was having a good time with that. I did not read enough of that to say that, but I'm very impressed.
Mercedes Lackey. Okay, I see.
Oh, I know that name.
somehow I didn't.
I'm trying to remember where I know that name. I do know that name.
I can tell you how I know that name. I know that name because Harlan Ellison used to rib on her all the time for not being very good and thinking she wrote trash. And then an earthquake hit his house, and a bunch of authors came out of the woodwork to go help with the cleanup. And she came, despite him, like, publicly trashing her on live TV. So he was like, you know what? I deeply respect you as a human being. Thank you so much. Weird, wholesome moment. But
Damn.
I don't know too much about her actual work.
Yeah, I don't think I've read anything that she's written, but I do know of her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll have to report back on that later.
Oh, she wrote novels of the Bard's Tale video game.
Oh! I didn't know that had novels. Interesting.
Yeah. Neither did I. I just found out.
Huh.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's me.
I will try to go as fast as I can to close two things that I have done. American Horror Story Asylum has been completed.
Oh no, you're still watching this.
So, if you... somehow, this is the most popular and beloved season of American Horror Story by its fans. Granted, I don't think the taste of an American Horror Story fan is worth much if this is what they're holding up. I thought it was way worse than season 1.
Damn.
So, the reason this is apparently beloved is because it gets into the quote-unquote, like, real stuff of, like, institutionalized, like, early horror stories of, like, medical care, or, like, you know, mental, like, health care and stuff like that in America. There's a really distressing... Yeah, so here's the thing. Most of it is used, I think, for really schlocky, like, shock horror that I just genuinely think is really disrespectful and shitty. There is a whole scene trying to, like, step-by-step describe, like, gay conversion therapy and the processes they use for that I just genuinely think sucks. A lot more rape and sexual assault this time, and... like, you can tell they're trying to be, like, the whole tone of this is they're trying to do, like, an exploitation horror movie type, like, throwback thing, but they also, like, there's enough weight behind it that I actually just don't really think it's all that fun, or even going that far in a way to, make it go so taboo as to be ridiculous. I just think it's pretty shitty, bat for bat. The characters are very hit or miss this season. There's a lady who became a nun who's in charge of the asylum after she drunkenly hit and run a little girl. Except maybe she didn't. They kind of cop out with that in a way that I think just completely makes the character not work. There's demonic possessions at some point. There's a weird plot involving alien abductions, and also a Nazi scientist doctor who fled to America. A lady claiming to be Anne Frank shows up to fight him. It gets stupid. Like, really bad.
What, claiming to be Anne Frank?
Yes. And then it's all like, oh, is she actually Anne Frank, or is she just a crazy lady? Who could say? There's an answer, but it gets really dumb.
Is it that she's not Anne Frank?
Yes, she's not Anne Frank. She's just a lady who thinks she's Anne Frank. The way that I guess I don't care about spoiling this. The way that the Nazi doctor dies, though, goes really hard. I do appreciate that scene. That's like maybe my one. Oh, also there's a demonically possessed nun, and the actress gives a phenomenal performance. She's having so much fucking fun, just like being the worst human being imaginable. But yeah, I genuinely think it's some of the worst television I've watched. I am in complete shock that this is allegedly what American Horror Story fans are like, yeah, this is the one, this is the serious, deep one that gets into the real issues, unlike the other ones. And I'm like, what the fuck are any of you talking about? Please watch real television. Like Ultraman. No.
Like Ultraman. Real television.
Yeah. So yeah, I still continue to not recommend American Horror Story. I'm just watching it because me and my friends are having, we want trash TV to watch while we're in a Discord call together. We're taking a quick break for now. We are going to get back to Season 3, which I believe is called Coven, and is like a teen witch story that I've been told is really goofy and gets like CW silly. In a way that I feel like is going to be more up my alley, and I'm going to probably enjoy more. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what dumb bullshit they get up to in that. Yeah. The only other thing I did is I have continued my Kingdom Hearts journey. I completed Chain of Memories, which I mostly talked about in detail last time. I still really like that game a lot. I can see where a lot of the major complaints are coming from now that I've gone through both routes of that game. I think they are very overblown, and while I do admit that there are some issues that game has in terms of, like, the way that you progress through the worlds in that game is that there are these, like, world cards. I don't remember what they're actually called. But you go room by room, and then each room has a series of doors that you then need to spend these randomly dropped cards to, like, transform the room into, like, you'll get a card that's like, oh, like, this is a sleeping enemy card. So then the next room will turn into a room where all of the enemies are asleep and you can just kind of walk past. Or you might get shop cards where you can like place shops in the world, sort of thing. But all the doors have different like color and number requirements for the type of card you need. And sometimes you can just get hard stuck because the random encounters won't drop the specific card type you need to progress in the story. And that happened to me for like 30 minutes in one playthrough. People talk about it, like, if you look at reviews or YouTube, people talk about this as if it happens all the fucking time. And I maybe it's just every time I've played this game, I've gotten really lucky, but I just don't think it's that strict.
It is quite simply, sometimes a video game has a Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne MOT, and people talk about it like it's the end of the world.
Yes. I fucking hate the MOT people so bad. Personal grievance of the world.
I beat that boss first time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Most people do. It's almost like if people stopped sharing the deliberate low-level challenge run footage of Mott wiping an entire team, people wouldn't think that boss is hard. The way people talk about Mott is one of those things where it makes it very easy to tell
If you
who
have
hasn't
played
actually
the game or
played
not. Yes.
who hasn't actually played the game and is just talking out of their ass, and who has actually played Nocturne.
Three beers, please. Yeah.
Where the fuck was it? Oh yeah, the Chain of Memories. Amazing 15-ish hour RPG for, well, okay, I think the main playthrough I had for Sora was like 15 hours. More RPGs need to be that long. It has some cool, unique mechanics. It goes down real smooth, and then you're just done, and you're out. And I think the story's pretty solid. Some of the, like, worlds that you go through, some of them have, like, this main theme of, like, oh, how important memories can be, or what can happen when your memories are lost, or they get distorted by misinformation. Some of them, they don't even bother. Like, the Aladdin world, it's just, oh, Jasmine got kidnapped, we should go do something about that. And it's like, well, why bother? But at its core, I think the story is pretty good and a good setup for KH2. The Riku story mode that you unlock after beating Sora's, I beat in like 4 or 5 hours, and it's such a fun victory lap where... So the way that Sora's story works is that you're basically deck building the whole thing, and you have one consistent deck, or multiple decks. You can hold multiple decks. That you're kind of like doing your RPG thing of slowly fine-tuning it and getting better and unlocking new abilities. Riku, every time he goes into a new world, they give him an established deck with a different gimmick that you have to work around. So instead of, when you level up, you get to choose your stats, obviously, that you want to, like, you know, do you want to increase your HP? Do you want to increase your deck capacity for how good of cards your deck can hold? Or do you want to, like, gain new abilities? Because Riku has the set decks, they don't need the deck capacity one. So his level up is slightly different, where that stat is replaced by attack power that just makes him hit harder. So it just, every fight in that game towards the end is just this glass cannon thing where you're either annihilating a boss in like 30 seconds or you're dead. And it's amazing. It feels so good. Love that game. I am the Chain of Memories shooter.
Hell yeah.
However, I must concede, I do think playing for the first time Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, the updated version of Kingdom Hearts 2, I do think that is now my new favorite Kingdom Hearts game. They add a bunch of bonus boss fights, ironically, a lot of them being bosses that you kill in Chain of Memories, so you never got to fight in the Kingdom Hearts 2 engine. They just put these memory portals in different parts of the game, like, with literally no rhyme or reason. Like, you'll just be in Pirates of the Caribbean world, and then just, it's like, there's a weird portal. It's like, hey, do you want to fight an Organization 13 member who's dead? And it's like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? Those bonus boss fights in that game are so fucking hard and amazing and fun. Genuinely some of the most enjoyable bosses to just learn that I fought in a long time. I did the iconic thing from that game of fighting Sephiroth. Everyone knows and loves that fight. I fought him way underleveled, and I spent maybe 6 hours doing that, and the process of me figuring out that fight and just... looking, like, I didn't look up anything for that fight. I was just like, I'm just gonna do it now. I know that I have the skills and ability I need to learn how to do this and win, and all I need to do is win once, right? And I did it, and then looking up online after that, I had just naturally discovered, like, a lot of the meta recommendations for that fight on my own. Just feeling it out over the course of several hours was so goddamn rewarding to me. And I still have a bunch of bonus boss fight stuff to do at the end of that game, that you can only do after you, like, actually beat the final boss. It opens up, I believe. Like, I think you need one clear save file on your deck before you can get to that stuff, if I'm remembering the requirements correctly. I still need to clean up some of that stuff. I'm very excited to get to it, because I'm sure it's going to be even more fun than the shit I've already gotten up to. But yeah, great action game. Unfortunately, probably the worst story. As I've stated before on this podcast, Kingdom Hearts 2 was where young me went, oh, this is all bullshit, and got really mad. and just dropped the series completely for many, many years before opening my heart back up to it recently, being like, I should give this a fair shake. The part of the game, which is like the second half, where a big story sequence happens, and then you go and revisit a bunch of the different worlds, and you have to go through and do a bunch of them a second time around. And by a bunch of them, I mean all of them a second time around, and they have more story stuff. Mm-hmm. I remember it being a lot worse than it actually is. It's not that complicated or all that, like, hard to follow, if I'm being honest. However, the story now has a different problem that I didn't really have the language or the critical thought to examine when I was that young. Kingdom Hearts 1 is about one bad guy who is a bad influence on one of your friends and is a very strong and stellar villain that's written phenomenally. Chain of Memories is about a mysterious splinter group of some black-hooded sickos who are scheming in a mysterious castle that all have very strong personalities, and they're up to some weird conspiracy shit. And it's still pretty good. Still pretty strong. Maybe not as strong as the first game, but still pretty good on the villain front. There's a bunch of motherfuckers in Kingdom Hearts 2 that are all fighting for screen time, and I think it's spread too thin amongst all of them. There's a lot of times where the villain's second, like, right-hand man does some evil shit in that game, and almost every time that happens, I'm like, damn, I kind of wish that the primary antagonist was actually doing this right now, because I feel like that dude is boring as hell. Like, there's almost nothing going on. Cool final boss fight, but there's just not nearly enough time given to all of them to actually feel as strongly written as characters as the previous games. And I think that's a major bummer. Also, as soon as Kingdom Hearts gets into the complicated morality of having antagonists who are maybe not pure evil incarnate, a lot of it really starts to fall apart. You get a really weird scene where the antagonist is like, so if the darkness isn't all inherently evil, how come you guys just go out of your way to kill it every time you encounter it? And then you get Mickey Mouse very awkwardly saying, well, we don't hate the darkness, we're just kind of afraid of it. And I'm like, you gonna elaborate on that? There's a lot of really bad...
Mickey Mouse is Ultraman.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking of Ultraman a lot in the last part of this game, where...
Mickey Mouse protects the weak.
Yep. A lot of those vibes going on. Not helping this is the fact that all of the villains, they're nobodies. They're these empty shells that are left behind when someone gets corrupted by the dark. Yes. So the whole gimmick with them is they're like, oh, we don't have real hearts. We can't feel emotions. However, in every single cutscene these fuckers are in, it is very obvious that they have distinct personalities and feel emotions. And the game just does way less than you first would think about them exploring that. And like, okay, maybe actually some of the good guys are wrong about how okay it is to just willy-nilly take these guys out, instead of maybe helping them in their situation. I have been told by multiple people at this point that like the next 3 handheld spin-offs are all about untangling this horseshit, and subsequently make people feel a little bit higher about the story of KH2, like as they untangle it. We'll see when I get there. I'm probably going to take a little bit of a Kingdom Hearts break, just so I can get back to some other stuff. I've been neglecting Muv-Luv for too long. But yeah,
Damn.
Kingdom Hearts, enjoyable. Not nearly as, like, terribly written and like, oh, this is so bad as I thought or remembered it being as I was a kid. Part of that might just be that my anime bullshit threshold has dramatically increased as I've just, grown up and have experienced much more complicated JRPG and anime plot lines that deal with weird identity stuff like this, with like multiple versions of characters and alternate personas and selves and memory loss and how that affects a person and all that stuff. That being said, I have played enough of the games at this point that I do think that the people who go out of the way to be like, actually, though, it is one of the most meaningful stories in all of JRPG. I'm like, okay, no, we don't need to go that far. I think it's okay at its best. I don't think that this is like... I can see how this could be important to someone when they're in their adolescence and they're growing up and they're working through some shit. But also, like, at the same time, experiencing this as an adult, it's very hard for me to see past, like, oh, I think this is a solid story that's doing its job. I don't think it's elevated JRPG.
Elevated JRPG.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that's all I had on my end of things.
All right.
Sick.
Well then, I guess that means we can talk about fucking Ultraman Taro.
It's been a while.
It's
Sorry,
been
mommy?
a while.
Mommy? Mommy?
Why does she have nipples? What?
Mommy?
Don't worry about it.
Now, I wish I could say the joke that I didn't notice them again, but I did in fact notice them this time.
Okay. Now, do we have some details about some background on this show before we start talking about the episodes?
Yeah, my usual season start production history
go for
roundup that I wrote a month ago. So
Let's go. So it's like it's fresh.
Yeah. First things first. I didn't know where to put this in my summary, so I'm just going to put it awkwardly at the top because it needs to be addressed. February 9th, 1973. Same day as the Ace time travel episode. Hajime Sakurai fucking dies.
Damn.
R.I.P.
And his younger brother Satoshi becomes the new president.
I was wondering when we were coming up on that death because it felt like it was like very early when we talked about it in the past.
I forgot the reason. It was a medical reason. I think it was like a hemorrhage or something. But it was very sudden. It's also not relevant to the rest of this production history, though. but it is important to bring up.
Gotta mention the big man died.
Yeah. Now let's rewind the clock. Somehow, Ultraman Ace was a decent success.
Oh.
But it was definitely not on the level of Return of Ultraman.
Good.
Yeah.
And bit of an understatement, deeply troubled production.
Yep.
And the impression was that the franchise was maybe running out of steam.
Oh, gee. Fucking wonder.
Just so you know, my sources for this are like Japanese
The
wiki,
Ultra Q podcast.
Ultraman wiki. No, just like my Reddit. But yes. And then also the booklet.
All right.
So yeah, in light of Ace being like that, TBS considered maybe having a 1-year break from Ultraman. But how that said, Yoji Hashimoto, the TBS producer, who was sort of like the producer in charge at TBS for Ultraman stuff, he wanted to push for a continuation of the Ultra series. And so the next installment was greenlit and put into the planning phase on October 1972. For reference, this date, this month, is when Ace episodes 27 to 30 happen. Just for keep track.
Which episodes of that?
Let's look at which the Ultra Q podcast. Which episode that episode range may encompass. It says that the one of these episodes is F.
I see.
And the tapier in the room.
I see. Yeah, there's a bad period.
So obviously those episodes aired at least some months, like maybe at least a month, probably presumably after they're filmed. I don't know how long it took for like filming to TV, but just keep in mind that was Taro was greenlit around those times. Those episodes were airing on TV.
Okay.
One consideration was that 1973 was Super Eye Productions' 10th anniversary. And since it was in the middle of the toku boom, they wanted to capitalize it with a big blowout, and they wanted to greenlight multiple projects. The first of these was in December 1972. There was a Toho Super Eye co-production, the film Daigoro vs. Goliath, which is on Brad and I's Godzilla watch sheet. And then January 1973, both Fireman and Jumborg Ace start airing as part of the 10th anniversary spectacular. So we got two not Ultraman shows airing. The next Ultraman show following Ace would, of course, be an anniversary show as well. And they were like, well, it's an anniversary show, so we want to stick the landing. We want it to actually be good this time. So the playing team primarily consisted of Hashimoto, Ken Kumagai, the guy who kicked Minami off the show, and lead writer Shigemitsu Taguchi. Now, tell me if you've heard this before. They want a mature, grounded drama to feel it's like kids audience.
Kids.
This time, they were like, well, this is where the audience is going. They want to create an entertaining and fun, kid-friendly show. In their view, Ace's quote-unquote innovations were quote-unquote challenging for the increasingly child-dominated audience.
What do they mean? Do they mean the kids don't want women?
The kids yearn for misogyny.
The children yearn for misogyny once again.
To that end, they wanted their new hero to be a friendly one rather than a mysterious one, which has been the norm for Ultraman up until this point. First proposal. Okay. Hero would be the sixth Ultra Brother. Dan in the Dirt, frame 1.
Fuck Dan. All my homies hate Dan. He died on that mountain.
Extremely funny starting up episode 1 of Taro and just being like, frame 1, this is the story of the sixth Ultra Brother.
It's pretty good.
Hokuto got the word in from the Ultra Brothers. They were like, we got a sixth Ultra Brother coming. We need you to get rid of this child. And Hokuto killed that child on that skiing holiday.
He did it in Simon style.
Yeah, exactly.
So the hero would be the sixth Ultra Brother. The plan would be to entice children by using outer space more as a setting within the show, as well as introduce fantastical space monsters. I guess we'll remain to be seen how much space is actually in Taro, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, not indicative in these first 3 episodes.
Yeah. They also want to use more bombastic and exciting special effects. The objective was to create a show that was exciting enough to go toe-to-toe against their competitors, because, we talked about this extensively during Ace. Kamen Rider is on the air and maybe giving Ultraman a run for its money in several aspects. Among other, Toei shows. And, additionally, this was the 5th Ultraman-style show that Super Eye had made. If you don't count, of course, Mirror Man, who had been turned into an Ultraman show at this point, obviously. But 5th Ultraman show within this franchise, obviously lumping in Ultra 7 in that. And also, it was a 3rd in a row coming off of Return of Ultraman and Ace, back-to-back production-wise. And so there was kind of a sense that the current run of the franchise was, maybe this will be the last one of these we do. We do 3 in a row. So maybe we should end off in a bang. In the premise, writing up, a lot of the first episode was already there. They already had Kotaro, all that stuff. How he became an Ultraman, all that stuff was already there from the start. Notably, a certain mommy was not in this initial pitch. Then they gave a second pitch later. I don't really know specifics why. But important addition of this second pitch was an emphasis placed on commercialization and merchandising. You see, toy sales were a success for the past two shows, but a lot less for Ace. I think I saw maybe the did I write it down somewhere later or?
Oh, what the numbers were?
No, just I think I saw the Ace Toys for Kaiju sales were apparently less good for Ace and also Mirror Man. And I think I saw that one partner company just went bankrupt.
Oh. Well.
Rip.
That'll do it.
But one thing they noticed,
they have a solution. They have a solution for Taro.
Yeah, they have a solution for Taro. They noticed. One thing that did well for the toy sales from those two shows were that things like the TAC Falcon and the Jumbo Phoenix were flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
And so they were like, maybe
vehicles.
We need more vehicles. And so there was kind of a shift towards there was a shift towards maybe we should come up with new vehicles to make toys instead of relying on kaiju toys. Put a pin in that. One thing that seemed to come up early on that was an issue was settling on a name. The first of these was, some earlier ones were Ultraman Series number 5, Ultraman Star. Another one was Special Effects Science Fiction Series, Ultra Jack. Other names include.
Hang on.
Ultraman.
Hang on. Wait, I don't. I mean, no. Hang on. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Other names considered Ultraman Fighter, Ultraman King, Ultraman Guts. Hey Berserk. Ultraman Z, Ultraman Hunter.
Wait, hold on. Wasn't Alien Guts the one that fucking resulted in two of Ghost friends dying? Am I remembering that correctly?
Well, that is
no,
correct.
I think of Alien Gatsu.
That'd be fucked up if they're just like, also, there's an Ultraman with the same name now.
Also Alien Guts was Ultra 7 from that.
Okay.
The Crucifixion 2-parter.
Never mind.
Yeah, the ones who did that arc in Return of Ultraman were Knuckle.
That's right. I don't know why I thought it was Guts.
Because what person would call a threatening force Knuckle?
Yeah. They should do a weird episode about a dinosaur tank and then call the guys Alien Kill.
Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, Ultraman 6 and then Ultraman 006. They eventually settled on Ultraman Jack, derived from Jack and the Beanstalk, or Jack the Giant Slayer. The reason for this was Taguchi, who I think at this point was Shikamitsu Taguchi, is basically like the creative lead, the head writer of the show, in the way that Shozo Uhara was for Return of Ultraman, and Shinichi Ichikawa tried to be for Ultraman Ace before things happened. But yeah, Taguchi was inspired by this Japanese fairy tale magazine called Neo Fairy Tale, and he was sort of thinking, like, in his head, fantasy, folklore, theme, direction. He kind of liked the idea of, like, what if he did, like, 1001 Nights Ultraman kind of thing. So really trying to go for, like, he was really thinking, like, fairy tale, like, oriented story.
Mixing it up. That's
interesting. I like that as a premise.
There was a problem, though. You can't separate the art from the context in which it is made. It is the 1970s and the Cold War is happening. And with it, there's political turmoil. There's perhaps some radical action being taken. And apparently this includes an uptick in plane hijackings globally.
Yeah.
Now, for an English-speaking audience, this probably wouldn't affect your creative decisions much. And how you name things, maybe. However, for a Japanese audience, for some reason, there was concern that the word hijack has the word jack in it, and the vibes are bad. Maybe we should name it something else.
I love that.
Oh, come on.
this is real.
I believe this is also the same era where there's a famous hijacking, I want to say, in this time period in Japan.
Is this the Mishima one? Or is it a different one?
All I know is that I don't know the exact one, but all I know is that the person or people doing it were like saying shit like, "Oh, we are Joe from Ashita no Joe."
Okay.
Like they were deeply inspired by like the struggle of Joe in that manga to be like, yeah, he's just like us for real.
Anyway, for some reason, they thought this was a real concern. And so we're like, okay, we need a new name. If Jack, the Giant Slayer, is a Western fairy tale name, then maybe what about using a Japanese fairy tale name?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then they're like, well, let's get some examples in Japanese folklore. There's Momotaro, there's Urashima Taro, there's Ken Taro. Well, damn, let's go with Taro, Ultraman Taro. And that's how the name is settled. And Ultraman Jack is discarded to the waste bin of history, never be used again. We'll never hear of it. Takuchi also wanted to build on the Ultra Brothers concept by doing more of a literal Ultra family thing. Therefore, he introduced Mother Ultra as the first Ultra heroine.
Yeah.
Filming of the drama scenes was primarily done by Tokyo Eiga Studios, and the special effects were done primarily at Toho Studios. Taro premiered April 6, 1973.
Right.
Unlike the previous two shows, Taro would end up staying more or less on its course throughout productions with no major shakeups. And there might be stuff like here and there we'll see as we go along.
Let's go!
But
wow,
it does not seem like there's anything on the premise changing levels as Return of Ultraman or especially Ace in terms of Taro's production. Seems like this one was handled. It was fine.
Halfway through, he isn't going to go you know what? I'm going to go back on the boat, and then it just becomes a different thing for no reason.
Yeah. Taro would ultimately be a popular show among its primary audience, and Taro himself would be one of the more popular Ultras in the franchise.
Oh.
Yeah. Didn't mention this at the time, but I thought about more, and I think this is true. If we were to rank the significance of the different show Ultras, obviously number 1, Ultraman, Mickey Mouse. Number 2, Ultra 7. Number 3, very much Taro is the number 3 if I had to pick.
I see.
Interesting.
In terms of popularity and importance. And maybe some of that is Return of Ultraman. I don't know how much Ultraman 2 not being a distinct design enough, and half the show you don't know if he's a different guy. How that changes things, but yeah, if there's a guy who's just showing up in anniversary stuff all the time, it's Taro. Taro's first episode premiered with a rating of 20%. Actually, that reminds me. Marvel Ultraman, because the Marvel had some Ultraman. They've been doing some Ultraman crossover stuff, and there's a promo image that I don't think actually matters. But totally interrupting what I said. But it's fine. Yeah, there's a promo image they did around when they started. I don't think it's actually come to fruition in any of the comics they did, but yeah, just to give you a sense.
What am I looking at?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
I also see, just looking at this image visually of Ultraman, Ultra 7, and then Ultraman Taro,
Taro is a 7 type?
Oh, well, I wasn't even thinking about that, but like the distinct horns on the side too, I feel like really do a good job of making him feel like, oh, this is like a different, like visually distinct design.
Yeah, that
than
helps
maybe
a lot.
some of the others. So that does help. But yeah, now that you mention it, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, he's like kind of got a 7 face going on.
He's got the 7 situation, but he's got a color timer. I don't know what is going on with 7.
Yeah. But yeah.
Will we ever know?
Will we ever know? Who knows? First episode premiered with ratings of 20%. The second half of the show often went above 20%, with 17% being the baseline. This increasing ratings was viewed favorably by TBS. Toy sales. Toys had shifted from the kaiju toys to the vehicles now. This is reflected in the OP, where the conventional silhouettes was just Thunderbird shit now. That's what the OP is.
Episode 1 of Taro started playing, like, when I watched it a month ago, and I was like, oh shit, let's go!
Apparently the OP includes vehicles which are not actually in the show itself, but they did sell its merch, which is funny.
That's how they get you.
The shift of vehicle sales would end up being very profitable. The side effect of this is, because the focus of the merch had changed, kaiju designs were no longer constrained by having to make toys of them and make them marketable, and so this means some of the kaiju designers are like, yeah, we can just do some wild shit.
Okay, I was about to be deeply concerned that you were about to say they stopped giving a shit about what the monsters look like. I am much happier with the words you just said.
And yeah, the success of Taro would lead to a new series, Ultraman Leo, our next season, being greenlit. That said, for whatever reason, there were delays in Leo's production in the lead up to it airing, which means Taro was extended 1 additional episode to cover for it, which is why we have the weird numbering, which we'll talk about later. And this makes Taro the longest Showa Ultra show at 53 episodes.
Yeah, this is a beefy one.
Yeah. As opposed to, Ultraman Ace, which is only 52 episodes.
Yeah.
Like a real bingeable one.
yeah, real slim one.
Taro was
it's much shorter than Ultraman Taro when you watch it at like 2 times speed.
Yeah. Taro was initially contentious among legacy fans at the times for its shift in tone. Many kids would grow up watching the show, and then they'd go on to, become part of the people making Ultraman because they grew up watching Taro. I was like, hey, I like Taro. Taro shows up in many shows and movies. Even on the show Ultra, he's like, like I said, he's the number 3 of classic guys among classic guys. And I think he's like the only character besides Seven who's had like a kind of a tribute show about him.
Oh, I see.
Because there is like a new Gen Ultraman show that's like a kind of a tribute season to like Taro, but that one's still that's also under the under Ultraman umbrella, obviously. Unlike 7, which gets like this is an Ultra 7 thing and not an Ultraman thing, which is interesting. But yeah, we'll yep, that's the basic roundup for Taro. Let's just look at Taro situated in its period of time. Its contemporaries. Oh
yes.
Obviously, Super App Production has put out Fireman and Jumborg Ace, airing at this time. And earlier in this year, before Taro really gets going, they've also put out Horror Theater Unbalance.
Yeah, I want to watch that show it
finally happened.
And unfortunately, it's like, Operation Mystery and Mighty Jack, where it's like, well, there's no subs for it.
Nope.
There's Raws for it, I think, but there's no subs, which is a shame.
Tragic.
Meanwhile, look across the aisle, look at our biggest competitor, Toei. We got 2 major sequels. First off, Kamen Rider V3, sequel to Kamen Rider. And second, Kakaider 01, sequel to Android Kakaider. We also got a couple other significant Ishinomori heroes. We got Robot Detective and Inazuma Man, both of whom are somehow also in Shin Kamen Rider. Thank you, Anno. Then we got P-Production. They have a sequel to their previous show, Lion Maru, with Fun Lion Maru. Senkosha, the company that did first Silver Mask, and then after that Iron King, their new show is Super Robot Red Baron, as a follow-up. On the Toho side of things, we got Godzilla vs. Megalon, which is the introduction of definitely not Ultraman guy Jet Jaguar. That's the 13th Godzilla movie. And we also have the Japan Sinks movie in theaters this year as well. They've also on TV, they followed up Go Godman with Go Green Man. He's a weird looking guy.
Me when I'm encouraging people to recycle.
Yeah. I'm looking at a photo of Green Man. Look at this little. It's weird. It's weird
when I'm telling my friend which ending of Mass Effect 3 is like the true ending.
Oh.
Yeah.
Green Man looks like he's about to sell me some supplements.
Green Man looks like, I don't know.
I think
this is crazy.
Personally, I think Red Man is still better than both Godman and Green Man design-wise. But anyway, they also have Zone Fighter, which is another not Ultraman show, which features Godzilla in a few episodes. I think that show also has the canonical death of Gigan in the show continuity for some reason, which is funny. Then another show they have is Kure Kure Takora, which I mostly mentioned because I think we brought it up in the production history of Ultraman Rising. Because I think that show was like described as like a source of inspiration for the baby kaiju design. But you can go look that up later. They finally also, the last thing they have on TV is Warrior of Light Diamond Eye, which is a follow-up to their previous show from last year, Rainbow Man. Now, for the stuff that's eating Toku's lunch, anime.
Oh shit!
Mazinger Z's still on the air, and Go Nagai has got another show, Cutie Honey. There's also Miracle Girl Limit Chan, which is the 6th of Toei's Magical Girl shows. Which, history-wise, Toei was the first one to make Magical Girl shows, so it took a while for it to become like more than just like a quote-unquote like a loose franchise of Toei's and into an actual genre. So this is still early days. Here's a big one. Doraemon.
Oh,
that's starting.
And it will not end.
Yep.
No, never.
Still going. Here's another name you may be familiar with. Neohuman Kasern.
Yes, I've been on the cusp of getting like Kasern pilled for like a few months now.
I mostly know that there was a mid-aughts Kasern with character designs by the person who did the character designs for Heart Cat Creature Gear.
And the OP fucking rules.
I don't know if the show is actually good, but
I have a friend who. Oh, the first one.
Yeah, I was going to go to a different thing, but yeah, you continue. I'll continue.
I was going to say I have a friend who swears by that 2000s Kasern as like one of the most like wonderful hidden gems of like anime of the 2000s era that like people just don't know enough about.
I should watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, actually, man, this next show, I don't know if it's good, but it's obviously historically important, and when I explain what it is, it's Zero Teste. I did think that's how it's pronounced. I mentioned it because it's Sunrise's first mecha anime.
Oh.
I guess it's about that time, yeah.
And then we got Aim for the Ace. That's a
yes. The 70s were such a good time to like watch it on TV in Japan.
And
Zero Tester is zero. Sorry, I should say Zero Tester is not just like Sunrise anime. This is the first directorial work by Ryosuke Takahashi.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, I think I forgot to type the R at the end. It's been a month. My bad. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Also, in theaters, the anime movie Belladonna of Sadness, which I don't know much about, but...
Damn.
Big
deal.
Yeah.
I knew it was a big deal, that's why I included it, but I don't know much about it otherwise.
Deeply troubling but beautiful movie, like artistically. Maybe look up some warnings before watching that if you're listening.
Okay.
It is maybe one of the most, like, emotionally troubling things I've watched, but given the subject matter, it's very easy to see why. I do think it has incredible artistic merit, but it's not a light watch. Just warning the audience.
All right. Now we're going outside of Japan, beating off the weeb allegations here. First up, Star Trek. Been off the air for a while. Been off the air for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Worth noting, I found out that the original series of Star Trek started airing a few months after original Ultraman, so that's fun. 1966. But
nice.
That series has been off the air for a while, and now it's time for Star Trek to make its big return to American television screens with Star Trek: The Animated Series. 1973.
I was gonna say, what do you mean? The next generation isn't for? Oh,
yeah.
There was an animated Star Trek?
Yes, there was an animated series.
I know so little about Star Trek.
I think the only voice actor that returned was the only actor who played a role on it was I think it was Leonard Nimoy.
Oh.
I might have that the wrong way round. I don't know. It's something like that.
Then we got Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the final Planet of the Apes movie of that original series. Until Tim Burton, I guess. Then we get this little known movie. I don't know much about the plot. I definitely couldn't tell you any plot deals about it. It's a weird movie called Soylent Green.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where the Soy Wojak meme comes from, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was that was a Sneakers reference, but I guess not. Anyway. There's another Arthur C. Clarke novel out called Rendezvous with Rama. There's as far I looked at. So this was a science fiction focus. So
sorry, are we summarizing the whole sci-fi genre?
No, I was
Okay.
gonna say. I did obligatory Soviet corner. There was 2 sci-fi movies I found on Wikipedia: This Merry Planet and Failure of Engineer Garen. I don't know anything about them. Wikipedia didn't have much on them. I was just like, well, maybe next time I can look at things beyond sci-fi. I was just, obviously for Ultraman, sci-fi felt the most relevant for focusing. But I won't, there's it for the now, except for I have to correct a mistake I made last time. Because there's something I forgot from 1972, previous year, that is very important. Because there's a new medium arising in the background. Previous year, 1972, alongside Ace's airing, little-known software company Atari puts out Pong. And the Magnavox Odyssey was released, which means here, in the year of Taro, 1973, Pong fever is in the air. That's right. The gamers have entered the world stage.
May they fall. Quickly.
Also,
But the thing about gamers is when they die, they respawn.
like Ultraman.
True.
Also, 1973 is Atari's second game goes out, Space Race. Which, I guess that's relevant to the era name. Now we got that out of the way. Let's get a little bit of Taro's design. It was designed by Akihiko Gucci, who previously did Oxter, Prisma, Lunatics, and Aquarius. And would go on to make Mechagodzilla.
A lot of those are bangers.
Yeah. We'll go on to make Mechagodzilla as well, after Taro. This design is based on 7, complete with a forehead lamp, though also has a, color timer, as I suggested. Well, not suggested, said. Also, they added horns, because kids liked Father Ultra. They're like, oh yeah, horns. So they added them.
That makes sense.
The prototype of the mask was made by Sakai Terui, who was a member of the Godzilla team. The mask ended up being so big, so Terui suggested to Kenko Mugai, who's a producer, that they should get someone who was about 170 centimeters tall. Therefore, they got suit actor Hiroshi Nagasawa, who was recommended because of Fireman suit actor Mitsuru Saijo. Because they worked for the same agency and Nagawa hit the height requirements. Though apparently there were some scenes that where Saijo would also fill in as a Taro suit actor. Early on, they had some joints in the suit to accommodate the suit actor's height, but later these got removed, and they had a bit more emphasis on bulking up the muscles of the suit. Now, for the cast. Actually, first I'll do the crew. Producers, we got Ken Kogai and Yoji Hashimoto. For kaiju suit acting, it seems like Toru Kawai is for the whole show. And then for sculpting, we have Extract Productions led by Keizo Murase, and we got Kaimai Productions by Eizo Kaimai. Both people I did trivia for and like roundup backup stuff in previous seasons. Time for the cast. Our hero, Kotaro Higashi, played by the actor Saburo Shinoda. You may recognize his face from somewhere. Do you know where?
I know him. I don't know where from.
I don't think I know who
He
this
previously
dude is.
played Shinoda in episode 20 of Ace. The boat episode.
Wait, is he the boat guy?
Yes.
He's back! What the boat guy's back! Boat guy's back, he arrived on a boat.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same dude. He comes back on a boat. What the fuck?
He's still a lunatic. It's the same guy. It's the same guy.
It's the same
it's
guy.
Shinoda by a different name.
When Red said in the Ace finale that they
that dude was
hoped-
weird enough to have a false name.
when Red said in the Ace finale episode that they wanted
I
Shinoda
hope
back,
the actor comes back. And they don't. He's just still weird, but like they don't necessarily. Oh, like this is everything. This is. Oh man. Oh, thank God.
This is like if Punished Ine became a real thing. Like, this is the closest we're gonna get to that magic.
Oh my God. Shinoda's origin story. No, but this is amazing.
I'm so glad that you didn't realize we could get this reaction on recorded.
He's grown his hair or something. So he's got like a different style. I hadn't quite caught it was him. Man, that's great.
Yeah. Also, worth noting, Kotaro wears a scarf because he saw Hokuto and Minami wear a scarf, and he was like, I want one.
Yes.
A good scarf is cool.
Next, we got Zat, which the acronym I didn't write down. Someone else got that duty. We got Yutaro Asahina, who's the captain, played by Akira Nagoya. Previously, he was the Return of Ultraman narrator. We got Shuhei Aragaki, who's the vice captain, played by Takehiko Tono. We got Jiro Nishida, played by Kiyotaka Mitsugi. We got Tadao Nanbara, played by Toyoyuki Kimura. We have Tetsuo Kitajima, who's played by Hidasuke Tsumura. Then we have Izumi Moriyama, the singular female of the team, played by Kyoko Matsuya. And then also, in a twist, Kotaro has his own... I forgot the names. The Cicadas. Yes, that's the name. Return of Ultraman. Kotaro has his own Cicada situation in the form of the Shiratori household. We have Saori Shiratori, played by Mayumi Asuka. And we got Kenichi Shiratori, played by Shinya Saito, who previously played the kid in both Return of Ultraman 43, which is the Bolton Jr. episode.
Okay.
And then he also played the kid in A6, which is the Brockett episode, the one where his dad's the astronaut with a hand mouth. Mm-hmm. Then we got the woman in green, played by Peggy Hayama. Who's like, the weird woman in episode 1. Completely unrelated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated, I'm sure. Peggy Hayama also plays the voice for Mother of Ultra.
Yeah. Who could have seen this coming?
And finally, last but not least, the narrator is Tetsuro Sagawa, who previously played Captain Ryu in Ultraman Ace.
Okay.
And then I'm done.
All right. Sick. Well, I think my favorite bit in that was finding out that Shinida is still kicking. He's still around.
He's the hero.
He's the hero now. I'm so happy. This is perfect. Let me just quickly.
I find it deeply funny after how much we joked about that man that we did not recognize him.
Yes.
Yes. That's great.
I mean, I don't recognize him unless he's wearing a pink shirt and holding a stick of dynamite.
Yeah.
Not my Shinida.
Not my Shinida. He's helping people. That's not my Shinida. my Shinida would be like, it's not my fucking problem. What are you talking about?
He's a changed man now. He's not about the boat life anymore.
He's not very clearly from the beginning of episode 1. Okay. Presumably we can talk about Ultraman.
Yeah.
We can talk about episode 1. I don't know what episode 1 is called. I don't have a summary.
Yeah.
Someone else is doing that.
I have taken the summary duty for this week. I have a couple 2,000 words written here about Ultraman Taro episodes 1, 2, and 3. So, also, I should state that I believe all of these episodes, all 3 of these episodes are directed by Eizo Yamagiwa and then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi, which I figured we'd just start off with because it's not like, they're familiar names at this point. So just kind of getting that out of the way out front here. Ultraman Taro Episode 1, Like the Sun, Mother of Ultra, was the name I got for this. I should note, I was using YouTube subtitles that at some point I realized were probably bad, and I decided to, cross-reference with the Tubi TV, more official subtitles, which were cleaner and definitely better in some spots. So there are a few places here where I have left names vague, just because I don't feel like I got them, but then also I feel like in the official subs they either inserted or used them properly more, so I don't know, we'll work through it, but might be a little bit of haziness around some of the names for this first batch of summaries here. I apologize, I did my best. A young man named Kotaro stands on a ship that has just arrived at its port. Not wanting to waste a second, he excitedly jumps into the water. We learned that he had been spending his days traveling the world while working on board, but would now like to become a boxer, an occupation he finds more masculine. Shades of Ultraman Ace already here. As he attempts to plant a flower that is said to bloom once every 100 years, a kaiju bursts out from the water. The monster begins to attack the ship, while our new attack team flies overhead. Now, in the subs you two watch, do they ever actually say what this stands for?
Yes. I think I wrote it down in my notes.
At some point, yes.
I don't know if mine did. I looked it up, and it's apparently Zaraba of all territory.
Yep.
Yes.
Zaraba
what's the
being
fucking deal with that?
So Zaraba is a fence of thorns that they, like, I believe specifically, like, in Africa, you would, like, build up around, like, a camp or, like, a base as, like, a protective, like, fortress, like, thing. So, like, that's kind of, like, their way of being, like, oh, we're, like, a thorny defense team.
Yeah.
Is the meaning there.
Of all territory.
Of all territory.
Damn.
Not global. All territory.
Old territory. Including space, including the universe, but not including it's you know, it's Earth.
So, the monster begins to attack the ship while our new attack team flies overhead. Kotaro rushes to action himself and attempts to disrupt the monster by using a crane meant for shipping containers. Seeing this, the captain compliments his intelligence and bravery. However, the crane's chain breaks and the monster flees. After the chaos, the captain and several other officials thank Kotaro for protecting the other ships from the monster's rampage. The captain gives Kotaro a picture of a woman he had forgotten to take with him when he left the ship, and extends an offer to Kotaro to live at his home for a while, but he refuses, then heads off his own separate way. At sunset, a cute little dog, remember the dog, it will be important, looks on in fear as the flower Kotaro planted earlier begins to spew a nasty-looking smog out of its petals. This causes even more flowers to grow in the patch of dirt. Kotaro discovers this and is jubilant, happy about the flower blooming and seeing something so rare, and also at the many other flowers that have sprouted out around it. We cut back to the attack team, who we learn is called the Space Garrison Zat. Yeah, so this is where, like, the name comes up. As they patrol around the dark streets of Tokyo Bay, one of the patrol vehicles passes by the lot where Kotaro is sleeping, and the flower patch grows a tentacle that attacks the cute little dog and then smashes the windshield of the patrol vehicle. The machine's operator, Nozumida, calls for backup. Doing what attack teams do best, the Zat crew bring out a full-blown flamethrower. They have, like, a dumb special name for this thing. I'm sorry, this is a flamethrower. This is a napalm-powered flamethrower.
It's like the super napalm. Yeah, hit it with the super napalm.
Yep.
It's the emulator of all territory.
Does it
The emulator of all territory.
It's like, shoot that thing with the mock bullet launcher. Like, no, that is a gun. So they torch the mysterious flower. However, unbeknownst to the team, Kotaro is sleeping nearby in a sleeping bag and is nearly ignited in the process. Naturally, this results in a fistfight between him and some of the team members. The captain is urged to stop this. However, he seems to want to let Kotaro cook, as if he's testing his capabilities. The fight ends prematurely when the same monster from before, I should state, continues its attack and Zat springs into action. However, keeping in spirit with the historical relevancy of this week, a second kaiju has hit Tokyo Bay. Zat fires fires upon both monsters, while Kotaro finally realizes that the second kaiju originated from the flowers he planted. Seemingly feeling a little bit guilty about this, he declares he's going to kill it with his bare hands, as the flower-based kaiju sucks up the original kaiju in a scene that made me deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I did not like this.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's like this show has a fixation on orifices, is what I was going to say.
Vor.
Yep. It's got a lot.
Were you saying something about?
I'll go for it.
No, I just already referenced this at the start of the episode, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll note is the kaiju that gets vored, the kaiju from the plant defeats not a kaiju, but a choju.
Yeah.
I see your game, Ultraman Taro. I see. The age of choju is done.
I did not see note of that in the bad subs I was watching, so I'm happy you brought that up. This is like the one fucking straggler. He's late to the game.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the last remnant of the fucking whatever they were called.
Yapul.
Yeah.
Of the Yapul. I'm the last remnant of the Yapul's vengeance. And then it gets eaten. Swallowed whole.
Yeah.
Well, you know who else eats shit? Kotaro successfully climbs onto the monster's leg. Proof of a hero should have started playing in this moment. And then the monster just says, well, fuck this, and then takes off into the skies, because it can fly. Kotaro gets shaken off and comes crashing back down to the earth. I think he lands on, like, a tarp that kind of acts as, like, a trampoline and, like, breaks his fall a little bit, but he's bruised up. He's knocked unconscious, but is awoken by a group of children the following morning, and he's just covered in cuts and bruises. There's a woman who comes to bandage his wounds, and he calls her beautiful. And then after, he meets Granny Midori, an older woman who the children have brought to him, and presumably is about to leak some video game news. As she continues to treat his wounds, Kotaro notes that the woman looks a lot like his late mother, uncannily so, to which the woman responds that he looks a lot like her son. She gives him a mysterious badge, which she calls a protective charm, and then she vaguely tells him to keep his promise and to never give up, and the two go their separate ways. What promise? Who could say? Back at ZAT headquarters, the Modern Science Elite Field Center, as it's called, we are introduced to the team's cutting-edge vehicles, the Sky Whale, the Sky Condor, Wolf 777, and the Rabbit Panda patrol car. We are so
now.
We are so Thunderbirds brained.
Hell yeah. Wolf 777 is great.
The fucking car has a fucking clown nose on it.
There's a couple of real stupid looking cars in this show.
I think
we should say. Oh, go ahead, Mel.
I was gonna say I think the idea I came up with in my head when I watched the episode was Pierrot futurism.
The color schemes for Zat are ridiculous. Like, it's like bright blue with like, contrasted with bright red. Like it is so toyetic.
But I also welcome it a bit. Also, because we got like 2 oranges in a row.
It sets the vibe well.
Yeah.
Where was I? I'm looking for 777. There we go. Kotaro walks in, now dressed in a ZAT uniform. Off screen, he is just fully applied and had been accepted into ZAT, much to the team's surprise. They all thought that guy died. Everyone introduces themselves. We have the vice captain, Kogan, the 3 regular members, Kitajima, Nanbara, and Nozomita. And then the captain's assistant, Moriyama. Who, the sole woman of the team, we should state.
Wait, feminism is over. We've slain it.
We learned feminism didn't sell. Nothing we can do.
Women don't sell. Women can only be mothers or assistants.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe.
And girlfriends.
I did laugh at this scene when it happened because we get Kogan and there's like, okay, he's the vice captain of the team. And I really thought we were about to get the detailed breakdown like every other show has done of, oh, this is our like field equipment operator. This is our firearms technician. This is the detonation specialist.
Bother.
No, they're just like, here's Kitajima, our member. Here's Nanbara, our other member, and also that's Nozomita. Like, they don't have titles or nothing. They're just members.
It's just the boys.
Yeah, basically. After introductions, the team receives a report that a monster has attacked Ginza and is currently heading towards ZAT HQ. The team moves out in their aircraft while the monster destroys the city. They attempt to use electric harpoons fired from the aircraft to stop the rampage. Are they using the Sky Whale or the Sky Condor here? I was having difficulty.
Whale. The whale's the really big one.
Okay. Is it the one that's kind of arced?
That's the new show.
God damn it. So true.
You don't actually have, I think I wrote it somewhere. The Sky Whale is big. The Sky Swallow is flat, and the Sky Condor is round.
Oh, I don't even think we see the sky swallow.
The condor has like 2 round wings on its either side.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, the whale is, hang on, Taro whale. This thing, which looks like it has eyes. Actually, now that I look at it, that's the whale.
Yeah,
that's the really big one.
Okay. All right. So, they shoot this thing with electric harpoons, and I thought I could find my summary note in time before. There we go. But it only agitates the kaiju. It begins to wail on Zat's HQ, only for the team to reveal that their secret base is prepared for such an occasion. Now, Zat HQ is just on what looks like these really big steel stilts, and the top part could just fly off into the sky to fuck off if it needs to.
Yeah.
It rules.
Yep.
So the kaiju gets really mad about this and starts to rampage more. Kotaro, hell-bent on killing this monster, is knocked out of the sky and crashes the sky condor, I believe he's in, causing an explosion. The narrator explains helpfully to us that as the flames of the disaster melt away Kotaro's body, he has been transported to a completely new world. The Ultra Brothers of shows past fly around his body, and a new figure emerges from the darkness of the strange dimension. The Ultra Mother. Wasting no time, the 5 Ultra Brothers declare Kotaro the 6th Ultra Brother, eat shit Dan, and revive him.
I can't believe the eclipse happened.
But much more positive example of the eclipse, but he is revived. And his transformation is complete. The notably kind of different from what we've seen in shows past. There seemingly is not an Ultraman Taro before this that then merges with him. Like, Taro is born here, it seems like, is the vibe. Which is a little bit different, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But back on Earth, Taro leaps from the flaming wreckage in his giant form and tackles the monster. The two exchange blows for several minutes until Ultraman Taro vanquishes his foe with the Strium Ray? Strium Beam?
Yeah, it's the Strium.
Strium?
Yeah.
Strium.
Something like that.
Like stream.
Yeah, I guess. Is it Beam or Ray? Because my subs were using... Well, my subtitles called it the Storium.
I think it's probably Beam. Just, you know.
I got Beam. I made a note of it.
All the other ones have been Beam, so it's probably Beam.
Yeah.
The Strium Beam. Taro flies off into the sky, and the team is surprised to see Kotaro waving them down from the street, confirming he's still alive. The Ultraman classic.
Hideki Go special.
Yeah.
The Oi.
Oi. After the action, the captain of Zat takes Kotaro to his house. A house, I should say. One of the children who woke him after his fall answers the door and is quickly joined by his father, who turns out to be the ship captain from the very start of the episode, who, of course, offered for Kotaro to live at his place for a bit. It's also revealed that the woman he called beautiful earlier, that was tending to his wounds, is the captain's daughter. And I'm immediately like, ooh, there's some spice here. The captain of Zat tells Kotaro that he should live here for a while, and Kotaro says, I'll think about it, and then goes to look at the water as the sun sets.
Well,
he sees a...
No, what happens is, he says, I don't know about this, and then the daughter walks up, and he's like, I think I'll give it some serious thought.
Yeah. That is true.
It's like she walks on screen and he turns around and goes, well, I suppose it is an order.
So he looks out into the sunset and sees a vision of Granny Midori, which then shifts into the Mother of Ultra. She tells him that he's on his own from now on. That is not true. But that as long as he never does anything against his will, he'll be okay. Which I'm curious if they do anything with that.
Phantom conversations with Mother have returned.
Yes.
Mother.
So how are we feeling about episode 1?
So, it's been like a month since I've seen this. But but I think my thought when I was watching this episode was, this is bonkers.
Immediately, you're gonna need to immediately remind me of the main guy's name. I've already forgotten it.
Kotaro?
Yeah.
Kotaro, okay. Kotaro walking on screen and going, "At last, I've returned," and then throwing himself off the boat into the sea and swimming to shore. I was like, this is legendary.
And
This is
there's an amazing shot of what is clearly like a mannequin made up to look like him flopping into the water.
He just tossed from the side of a ship into the water. It's so good. His immediate vibe of being like, yeah, I'm simply going to. He's like, I'm simply going to sleep by this flower that I've planted that blooms once every 100 years, and I'm gonna become a boxer, and immediately waking up from getting toasted with a flamethrower and just like getting into a fist fight with people. There's a great bit where he punches someone that didn't do any flame throwing, and he's like, well, I didn't do anything, and Kotaro's like, you're in the way.
I love the captain just immediately being like, why would I stop this fight? This dude's putting in some work. I want to see where this goes. It's so good.
Yeah. So already I'm a big fan of Kotaro. I love him biting a kaiju to try to deal with it is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm also just generally I quite enjoy his like how forward and like forward he is. Like when he wakes up and he's just like, oh wow, pretty. And she's like, oh yeah, this thing that
it's like he's
passes it on to.
Character with a defined personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, I meant you. You're pretty. And I'm like, okay. So dude just has it. Okay. Yeah, I quite like this man. He's like clearly the moment he comes on screen and does everything that he does is just like, okay, clearly this show is going to be silly because this man is a vehicle for silly things that happen. I'm looking forward to more of that.
I think I do gotta like adjust because I think I knew that I kind of knew that Taro would be like a kid oriented show, but it still felt like my brain needs to adjust still. And some of that's also like, starting a new show, everything feels weird to start. You gotta learn all these names and like all the new setup. And like we got like a weird tone shift on top of that.
There's a lot. So this is the first episode. There will be more of this in the next two. There's a lot of like, they're like deliberately kind of like gross out stuff with the kaiju. Yeah. Like when that kaiju swallows the Choju whole. And then in the next couple of episodes, there will be some stuff with
There's fucking Nickelodeon slime in this show.
Yeah, there's Nickelodeon slime in this show.
Kotaro would host the Teen Choice Awards. I do get that vibe from him.
Yeah. I am obviously, when they're showing these launch sequences for these vehicles, I'm like, good, thank you. I love to be pandered to.
Do you like the base that goes into the sky?
I love that the base like flies off into the sky and the pillar that it was standing on then descends below the ground. I'm like, this is amazing. Thank you.
What I need to know, do they have other pillars and other spots that it can also land on?
Oh, that would be so fucking sick. They should
like just every week they rotate where the base is.
Oh my god, that would be so good.
Imagine if they relocated to the Paris pillar. They had episode Paris.
The Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
But
it perches on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Real Tokyo 3 vibes from when the pillar goes back down to the ground. I'm like, oh, that's where that. That's where Anno got that from.
Well. The specific place where either Anno got it from this Ultraman, or he got it from Stingray, which is where Ultraman Taro maybe got it from. Stingray, the whole like town descends below ground.
Okay.
The souls of the Andersons forever haunt this podcast.
Exactly.
Overall, I thought that I really like. There's a strong introduction both for the character, and just for the overall sillier tone of the show.
This is a good as far as first episodes go. This is a good. This is the thesis statement of the show.
I do, and like I understand, like it to some extent you gotta, but I do feel like they maybe played it a little safe in the actual structure of how this guy becomes the next Ultraman. We've seen this same setup a couple times already with the like, oh, he dies and then he's merged with the thing, and maybe that's just always going to be the thing to some extent. But I was almost wondering a little bit, like, must we have done another flaming crash into alien saving your life thing because of your heroic deeds?
So far, we've just mostly got like we have Dan who is 7, and then everyone else is like they crash and then fuse.
Ultra 7 becomes more unique the more Ultraman we watch.
Yeah, well, that's because like they keep making Ultraman blanks.
Yes,
which is not how it was originally.
Yes. The one twist that we've got, the new thing, we have the mother of Ultra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has she's got like downward facing, like not horns, but
it's more like hair.
It's like hair. Almost.
It's like hair, but it's like
the mustache in a Rising Dad.
It's yes, it is a bit. Why didn't they just use the father of Ultra for that? It'd be so perfect. Anyway,
because this is a different toy that they can sell. You mean in Rising? You mean in Rising? I thought you meant instead of Mother
here.
Ultra.
This is like this is sort of like, oh, but where do the Ultra brothers come from?
Mother.
And, they come from Mother, and the narrator helpfully says, "This is how all the Ultra brothers were born. By the way, this is how it all works." And I'm like,
potentially.
I'm like, Professor, why did the Mother of Ultra make Ultra 7 without a color timer? And Professor has to tell me to shut up.
I'm sure we'll find out more details of how the Ultra family is laid out.
I'm sure they will continue to get into this. Yeah.
I bet that fucking asshole with the magazines had an answer for all of this.
I should find out what he thought was the deal with Ultra 7 not having a color.
Is he alive now?
No, he might be dead by this point.
Yeah, because how'd you be surprised, Dad? I mean, they died around the same time, so, you know.
Yeah, but he would have been around.
He would have been
Ultra
alive
7.
for 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess he would have had to been around for like Ace to get to like every like them all being like a big family, and it's like, well, what's the deal with 7? What's the deal?
Yeah.
So the Mother of Ultra thing. So this series is gonna be extremely mother-pilled.
The Advent Children of Ultraman.
The Advent Children of Ultraman.
As opposed to Ace being the Versus 13 of Ultraman.
I have not seen Advent Children, and obviously none of us have played Versus 13, but that's the whole point. The mother thing is like, we're like doubling down on how gendered all of the Ultramen are. Now we have an Ultra woman.
Yeah.
She has boobs.
Yep.
She has nipples. She's just I don't know if she breastfeeds. Isn't she like a metal alien? What's going on?
They're beings of light, Red. Jeez.
They're beings of light. They're beings of light. I see. But yeah. So Mother of Ultra is like, I'm kind of like, okay, yeah. I guess that's what you're doing. I don't know. I'll have to see.
We'll have to see how...
I feel like we are going to get a lot of episodes where the main central tenet of it is, Mother always knows best, and, you should listen to your mom when she tells you to do something, and man, isn't it a shame when your mom... Isn't it scary and terrifying when your mom isn't there to help you out sometimes, but you'll be okay.
Like for kids.
Yeah, like
for children.
I feel like we're getting a lot of like, well, you should really do what your mom tells you. Kid episodes coming up here, which I'm all for if they do it in a fun way. But
yeah, Gento, isn't it scary when your parents aren't around?
Yeah, Gento, motherfucker. What else is there to talk about in this episode? What's happening in here?
So much happens.
I don't think I got the captain's name in any of these 3 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I said it obviously, but like it's it's weird because like I watched 2 of these episodes a month ago and also a new show, so it's the adjustment to learn these names is it'll be a bit.
I always struggle with like the specific. Usually the captain I'm like good on because he's the captain, but like the team members I'm almost always like,
it takes,
oh god, who's who again?
It takes a bit for us to like figure out what kind of guys they are. Like we didn't necessarily know right away that like Kashida was going to be the Nepo baby, but
I'm going to be honest, I'm still pretty hazy on Ace's team.
You see, Mikawa is a woman, especially after they got rid of the other woman.
To be honest, Ace's team I have a pretty solid grasp on, because we've got Yamanaka, we've got
Yamanaka is a
big guy.
Yeah, Kono's pretty good.
Kono, that's the one. And then we've got the guy that came into his own in like the last 10 episodes of the show or something.
Because
yes, that's true. That is true.
Because
they got rid of the scientist.
Yeah, because he was the nerd kaiju nerd vibe, because they had the scientist guy instead of him, and he wasn't a nobody.
Yeah. He was also the compulsory one from the countryside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gotta have one of the. We gotta play. Who's from the country this time?
Ooh, okay. It's not Nishida.
It's the guy who sneezes a lot in the next episode, I think. Maybe.
Nishida is the guy who's like Nanbara is like, oh, your favorite electrocution plan. And so I'm like, electricity, technology. This is not the countryside. They don't have electricity out in the countryside. That's they all live by candlelight. I don't have any guess.
Nope.
I don't know any of these guys yet.
Yeah, I can't. These guys aren't guys to me yet, except for Kotaro.
No, I'm quickly scrolling.
At best, I kind of have a grasp of how the captain is, and he's just like, yeah, I'm the captain, but like in a chill way.
Yeah.
He's extremely the I'm punching in captain.
I'm gonna guess it's Kitajima.
Kitajima. Okay.
At some point, I'll know who that is.
Yeah, he's one of the 3 members that were shown. See, you know what? It's funny because you do reference like there is Nishida, who I don't think is like in that initial lineup that they show off.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's Kitajima, Nanbara, and Nozomita were the names I had written down. Unless one of my subs just fucked up one of the names. It might have. That might actually, Nozomita might be Nishida from what my subs, those YouTube subs might just have been bad. I think that's what happened. Because I'm not seeing him listed here in the wiki at all. So, yeah, that's supposed to be Nishida. Good to note. Any other thoughts?
I don't have much
Yeah.
else. We know who made it.
Yeah. I got some of my own trivia, but I think
Yeah, go for it.
I think more or less we got the gist of this episode. Special effects director for this episode is Kazuo Sagawa. Apparently, the filming model of the Sky Whale is still preserved today. Before it was restored, it was in a pretty severe state of deterioration and damage. Then it was restored by someone named Tomo Haraguchi in 2012, and it's currently housed at the Sukugawa Tokusatsu Archive Center. So that's cool. Apparently, Mother of Ultra suit wasn't ready yet until episode 3. So they hastily threw together a suit using the Triple Fighter suit and an Ultraman head for episode 1 and 2.
Okay.
The first kaiju we got is Oil Drinker, designed by Yoshio Suzuki, who, as a reminder, did Ultraman Ace, Kaora, Giant Yapul, and Firemons. The suit is modified from Gorgosaurus, which is a kaiju from Mirror Man. Though a different prop was used for when it was getting forward. Yeah. Then we got Astromons. This one's by our good friend Ken Kumagai, who, as I mentioned before, is the producer who fired Minami. And
that's gonna come up every time.
Yep. His sin. But also, and he did a bunch of kaiju designs in Return of Ultraman, including Seamons and Sigurath, Bemstar, Vacuumon, and Marucci.
Okay.
I think I read that he was maybe brought on to this early part of Taro to do kaiju designs because Yoshio Suzuki, who is the other guy besides Aki Kuguchi, some of the other kaiju guys were busy, basically. So he needs to fill in a bit. The original draft for Asteron's episode was basically a retread of the Bemstar episode from Return of Ultraman. And then eventually they just brought into this episode. They include the scene of the oil drinker being eaten to signal to the audience, as Red suggested, that new Karu Chaiju are even stronger than the Choju.
You're fucking done with Choju.
Yeah.
Very deliberate authorial intent. They gave it a different prop for the close-up shots, presumably to do really gross stuff with the mouth. Apparently, magazine at the time said the tigress flowers from space. This is never brought up anywhere, though.
Okay.
Also, using Japanese wiki as my source, and also, Kaijikabedi and blog, which I've used before for other stuff. And that's it for that's all I got for this episode.
Okay. Well, do we have anything more to say about this episode?
I just real quickly, the more I'm looking at the Zat member list, the subs really fucked up the names. And so the other big correction here was Vice Captain, they called Kogan in the subs. That's supposed to be Shuei Aragaki. Yep. So I'm just not using the YouTube playlist, I don't think, because, big differences. So.
You mean your Blu-ray, right? Your YouTube brand deep Blu-ray.
Yeah, the one that someone uploaded on the internet for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
That Blu-ray.
Yeah,
with the weird subtitles that sometimes have a greenish tint to them, as if the person who transferred the video didn't know what they were doing.
All right.
Are we ready to dive into Ultraman Taro episode 2? This time it's Ultra Mother?
Yes!
Yeah, nope.
This time it's Ultra Mother.
Now, before you start, I want to ask. This is a two-parter. How are you going to do this?
I'd say So here's the thing. I've thought about this. We almost always are like, should we talk through the first one and then say how we're feeling? We almost always just immediately go into the second one anyways.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Let's just go through both. So, Kotaro gets his ass beat in a boxing gym and makes a pinky promise with the child, which I believe is the captain's son, Kenichi.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a while before we get his name in here. That he's going to get better at boxing. Later that night, at a quarry, a monster attacks a group of drunken miners in the middle of a storm. It uses its extremely long tongue to reach into the shed they've taken shelter into, and then scoops them out one by one, eating them. This scene also made me deeply uncomfortable.
I think
big show for the Vorheads in the audience.
Is this the start of the Barrier Skies fetish era of children's television?
I think it might be. It's getting like there.
Wild.
It's like wrapping around them and like flop it. I don't like it. I don't like it. The narrator kindly informs us that this monster is called Cosmo Liquid, which I did not get a monster name, I don't think, last time at all, so that was appreciated. The next morning, Kotaro is out for a jog while two children sprinkle popcorn into a hole that is emitting a strange noise. When they throw the entire bag of popcorn in, it is suddenly spat back out, almost looks like it's floating, shocking the kids. Kotaro asks one of the boys, Kenichi, what's going on before he can properly explain the situation, a ZAT emergency transmission regarding the attack on the quarry forces him to head back to HQ. Because the shed has been completely buried by a landslide, the area of the monster attack is difficult to investigate. Kotaro and Nanbara decide to check for clues inside a nearby cave. While outside, Kotaro insists he sees the silhouette of a monster in some distant fog, and he takes a shot at it. However, upon further inspection, the kaiju is nowhere to be found, and Kotaro is accused of seeing illusions. Back at his new home, Kotaro continues to exercise and flirt with Saori, the ship captain's daughter. She tells Kotaro about the strange behavior of her brother Kenichi, so Kotaro decides to speak with him up in his bedroom. Hesitantly, Kenichi tells Kotaro about a fisherman whom he saw killed by a kaiju as he cycled past a riverbank. During the flashback, we see that the rocket-shaped bullet that Kotaro had fired earlier fell into the same hole that the boys were experimenting with, and just like the bag of popcorn, it floats back out as if it was spat out by the hole. In the present, Kenichi gives Kotaro the bullet back, and he returns to ZAT HQ to report the suspicious circumstances. Back at base, the team discusses the monster's movements and what they plan on doing to stop it. They decide to electrocute the river, as it seems to be using liquid to move from place to place as if it's following the river. After the electric current is activated, the monster jolts up from the river in a panic, and the team shoots at it with their vehicles and weapons. It continues to thrash about in prolonged agony, and then using its dexterous tongue, manages to uproot a tree that one of the members is holding onto, and then starts to swing him around. Nishida rushes towards the monster, guns blazing, in an attempt to save him, putting him in imminent danger. Kotaro decides that this is his chance to transform, and he does so, rescuing his comrades and doing battle with Cosmo Liquid. The kaiju attempts to flee, but one of its feet gets stuck in the mysterious hole. Ultraman Taro uses this opportunity to summon a shuriken, and then throws it directly into Cosmo Liquid's neck, killing him and causing him to melt. This I was not expecting, just like, weapon.
It's just got like a spear.
Remember when Ace summoned that katana?
Yeah.
I do.
Did they call it a shuriken in your subs?
I forget. It was a month ago.
Something like a lance or something. I don't know.
Okay. Because my subs are just like shuriken, and I was like, I don't know if that qualifies, but okay. The monster melts, and then we get a shot of Ultraman Taro flying off, but then we also see that the hole from before has now turned into a weird, sickly green and is beginning to pulse. The next day, Kotaro and Kenichi are out for a jog when they pass by the same hole. A dog, which I'm assuming is the same dog from episode 1.
It's Pochi. Yeah, it seems to be Kotaro's dog.
So, They talk about it as if it's not his pet necessarily. It's just a dog he's fond of, which confused me, because I'm like, that just seems like his pet. But yeah, the dog falls in, and Kotaro attempts to rescue him. However, an earthquake violently shakes the ground, and he too falls in. The pit turns out to be a kaiju's mouth, and the inner chamber of the hole, its stomach. Kotaro finds and rescues the puppy as the kaiju bursts from the soil, terrifying Kenichi and causing him to flee for assistance. The kaiju begins to cackle and roll on the ground in amusement. Big same. Love the energy on this guy. He's slapping his belly, he's rolling about on the ground laughing, he's having a good time.
Absolutely.
He's jolly.
He is very jolly. Very jubilant monster. Zat uses an X-ray to confirm Kotaro's position. I love this little weird X-ray machine that they use to just get a weird silhouette of him floating around in the stomach. It looks funny. They then brainstorm a bunch of ideas about how to free him from the Vorfan's greatest fantasy. Then they just decide, what if we just shoot it and like burst a hole in its stomach? And it's kind of dangerous, but he'll find a way out probably. Very funny. Despite shooting the monster with a rocket and causing it to bleed out a green slime, the plan doesn't work. Kotaro can't find a way out, and the monster just becomes enraged. Also, the green slime turned out to be the remnants of Cosmo Liquid, which is now regenerating, and has spilled all over the river's water and just reforms into its full kaiju form. And the two monsters begin to fight, causing even more destruction to the city. The episode ends as Kotaro and the puppy are being slowly digested in the one monster's stomach, and Ultra Mother flies to Earth to save her son. Ultraman Taro, episode 3, the second part of this two-parter, is called Mother of Ultra Forever. All three of these episode titles about the Mother of Ultra. Worth noting. The narrator recaps the last episode, informing us that the monster is named Live King.
Yep.
Is that the name you two got?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, which is also what I call myself when I'm streaming. The captain of Zat orders a bunch of pepper powder as the two monsters continue their battle. His assistant is like, what, pepper powder? And he's like, don't worry, we can cover it as an expense. But notably, neither monster is really getting a meaningful advantage over the other. They're just breaking buildings. It's a bad time for everyone involved in the city. The captain flies in, however, and starts to spray the pepper mix, hoping that the monster will sneeze Kotaro out. It does work, and Kotaro and the puppy come flying out and land in a tree. This is so silly. I love this.
They are fine. They are absolutely fine. Do not worry.
He goes shooting into the sky. Like, he got a home run. Zat muses that Cosmo Liquid is basically, despite its form being like that of a solid kaiju, it is just like liquid. So if they could find a way to freeze it, they could be able to easily defeat it too. However, they struggle to think of a way to bring that hypothetical into reality. And as the monsters head towards the city, Kotaro sneaks off so that he can transform into Ultraman Taro, and he begins to do battle with both creatures. Live King manages to injure Taro by jumping onto his arm. The narrator says here that his arm is broken, but after escaping his foe, he pulls out another stylish move, Ultra Freezer. He shoots an ice beam at both kaiju, and they freeze solid. The captain uses this opportunity to basically summon a giant flail out from the bottom of his aircraft, and then smashes Cosmo Liquid into a billion pieces. This rules.
Yeah. Good, like, incredible energy.
Yeah. Taro finishes the job by shooting Live King with a Strium ray beam. However, one of its pieces has ominously fallen in front of a home somewhere.
It's a temple, actually.
Yes, in front of their home, specifically. Kotaro lies in bed recovering while Kenichi prays in gratitude for the day's events turning out okay.
To the Star of Ultra.
Yes. In his dreams, Kotaro once again sees the Ultra Mother, who gives him some advice to finish what he started and to not push too far beyond his limits, lest he be injured. Outside, Kenichi sees a sinkhole open up and devour a chicken in its coop. Despite his injuries, Kotaro rushes to the scene and investigates. Upon realizing that thousands of chickens have completely disappeared, leaving only feathers behind, Kotaro calls Zat for assistance. Later that morning, Zat received reports of a strange sound coming out of an underground tunnel. This is a weird scene. So they go to investigate this tunnel, and there's like a giant snake head in there. Now, was this a statue that was just in there, or is that supposed to be like kaiju related?
I think it's just
I think it was just a statue,
Yeah.
and they were just getting spooked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're just funny. They're just funny little guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're just
This is a
they
weird
explore a bunch
scene.
of places. Is the thing.
Okay. All right. I guess that makes more sense. They get spooked by the giant snakehead statue. Elsewhere, they set up a trap for Live King using a bunch of live animals as bait, but this ambush goes horribly wrong, and Kotaro is almost crushed by the kaiju. This thing has his full fucking weight on it, and he's like pushing it up.
He's just in a little divot. He's fine. Don't worry about it. He's just tucked in a little hole. He's just like, the kaiju's on top of me, and the captain's like, the what is what?
Suddenly, Ultra Mother swoops into the scene and helps out her son. Kotaro flees, but is once again almost killed by Live King's flame breath. He transforms into Taro and fights alongside his mother. He's still struggling with his arm injury, and he does poorly against the beast in hand-to-hand combat. Fortunately, his mother uses the Neostrium beam to directly shoot his arm and then heal it. Instead of crushing the monster and risking it regenerating like last time, the two Ultra Heroes fly it out into space and then shoot it with combined Strium beams, blowing it up in the safety of the vacuum. Back at the gym from the start of last episode, the owner of the gym encourages Kotaro to take up training there. The episode ends as he joyously spars with an opponent while Kenichi watches with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Boxing. They realized that all the cool episodes of Ultraman with the one-off boxers are really neat, so they've just
make him the main guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did think it was funny how the first episode he was like, "Yeah, I'm done with traveling the world. I want to do something more manly like boxing." And then immediately the next scene is, "Ooh, I'm gonna plant this really pretty flower that blooms once every 100 years."
He's such a cute little guy.
Go off, King.
Oh, he's He's
Absolutely the kind
good.
of guy who like lives on a hotel boat and says, "I'm gonna make it move again." How?
I'm just gonna laze around and eventually it'll move. I got this dynamite. The main features of this episode are kaiju with the big round tummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, so the vibe is so different from previous kaiju on this guy. He's having a laugh.
King.
He's chilling, and also he's swallowing people whole.
He's laughing.
He's laughing.
You're laughing. Kotaro got eaten, and you're laughing.
Kotaro got eaten, and you're laughing. This is, we've got the full Nickelodeon spray. We've got just very silly
The pepper plan.
So the interesting thing to think about is that these plans. Now the pepper plan is an extreme, but like electrocuting the river, I was like, that's hilarious. And then I like think about it, and I'm like, that's not that far off where we were with the rest of Ultraman. That's really not that far off, to be honest.
I think the difference is that in the other ones, you maybe would have gotten it treated with more weight of like, oh, but what about all the other innocent creatures in the river that we might be harming?
Yeah.
And then like this one is just like, nah, we're gonna fry that shit up. we're smoking them out.
The like dropping like a ton of pepper to make it sneeze and then smacking it with the
Gundam hammer.
Gundam hammer. Yeah. Like these two episodes were just kind of, I don't have like too much to say about them beyond like this is like really cementing like what the vibe is.
It's really silly fun, and I'm so here for it.
Yeah.
The thing that really got me, and I made reference of it, but it's when his assistant is like, get a bunch of pepper, and like they're like worried about like how much it'll cost for like a little split second there. It's so funny.
I like the scene in episode 2 where like they talk about what to do, but they're all having lunch, and they're like, "Hey, Captain, we should go do something."
Yes.
He's like, "Wait a minute, just wait, we're eating." Don't get a rush.
He decides who's going on a mission. When he decides who's going on a mission with like, he's like, "Who ate curry? I ate curry. Who ate curry today or yesterday?" And it's like, why? You know, two people say I ate curry, and he's like, okay, you two are going on this mission. Food centric.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately. There's not like very few places in my area to get like good curry, and I feel like I'm missing out.
I feel like I missed. I need to. When I was in Japan, I should have had more Japanese curry.
I think I have never had Japanese curry.
I've never had Japanese curry.
I had like one order on like the day before I left, but I didn't have meat with it, so I was like, damn, I missed it a bit.
There is a place that does really good udon near me, and I'm like, maybe I should get that today.
I'm from Leicester, which is like as far like one of the more multicultural. It was the multicultural city in Britain for a while. I think someone took over lately, but it's like the biggest groups is like Indian and Pakistani people. So it's like I'm just like, the idea of Japanese curry to me, I'm like, oh right, yeah, you have that. Okay. So I didn't associate it with you.
They did get it from elsewhere. So
yeah, but it's like becomes its own kind of thing.
I mean, it's different, obviously, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, what else is going on?
Yeah.
What else is happening in this episode? In these episodes, we
get Mother of Ultra does not job in the way Father of Ultra does in her debut.
Yeah.
Father Ultra gets fucking mucked like immediately.
He's more competent as Santa.
Yeah, yes, he is more competent as Santa. That is right. We get like, she does like one attack, but like she has like a healing beam.
Yeah,
she makes the boo boo go away.
Yeah, she makes the boo boo go away because she's mum.
I did like
she's mother.
She didn't, even though she didn't throw hands as much. She like felt like she had a decent active role, and also she did fire like an actual beam at the end.
Yes.
Like if she only fired like the healing beam, I would have been like, but since she can also like just do damage, it's fine.
Yeah, I was worried about that when I saw that too. I'm like, is she gonna be playing healer when all of her sons are DPS? And then she's like one of those healers who get like weird about it, who are like, actually the entire team's life is in my hands. I'm the one with all the power. And I'm like, all right, relax. the other day,
she gets really salty about the Ultra Brothers rotation.
Yes. So the other day, my FF14 friends were sharing around this image that was like, what type of healer are you? And like one of them was like, if I don't do it, see, here's the thing, I don't know if I want to do it, but if I don't do it, everyone else is going to do it worse than I could do it. I'm like, oh damn, I need to get back into MMOs with the fucking shit going on. I need to get back to FF11.
there isn't all that much else going on in the episodes. It's mostly just kind of a good time.
Yeah.
See, this is... I was going to say, it's funny because Ace was, there's not much to talk about derogatory.
Yeah, this is
there's
the other
not
way
much
around.
to talk about complimentary, where this just went down smooth.
Yeah.
It helps.
It's
it helps
just
as
a goofy...
It's a good energy, and also is like, it's obviously still like Ultraman, but also it's like doing something a bit different because of like its zaniness.
I won't dread looking forward to these episodes, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or I won't dread having to watch these, I meant to say. It's just a pleasant time.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, the season's popular.
Oh yeah,
so.
you said who directed and wrote these
Yeah,
ones.
all of these were Eizo Yamagiwa
Yeah.
and then Shigemitsu Taguchi on the writing.
I got my end.
doing the first three here.
Mel. Yeah, go for it.
Special effects director for both these episodes is Masataka Yamamoto. Excuse me, I'm getting a lot of hiccups today. Special effects director for both episodes, and
Because of all the miners you ate in the quarry shed.
Miners, not miners.
yeah.
Important distinction.
Yes, I was going. Excuse me, a second.
I didn't the Galaxy Quest moment.
Masataka Yamamoto, who I have no info on. Cosmo Liquid, designed by Ken Kumagai. I should point out, I mentioned
This is a guy who, okay, I do want to say about Cosmo Liquid. This is a guy who, if this show was decades after the fact, would be like a weird goop, like CG monster, right?
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I will say, I think it's like what I saw on the wiki was that Yoshio Suzuki, even though he did like the one kaiju for episode 1, he is also busy because he was specifically on Horror Theater Unbalance in the early parts of this year. So
I know one of those episodes is about a fucked up mummy. I saw the episode title. I'm like, damn. I think
if I remember correctly, we had like an episode where we just went through all the episode titles.
Yeah, that does.
Some of them were very funny.
Maybe one day they'll get subbed.
I hope so.
I think in my esteem, I'm like, I feel like I'd want Mighty Jack to get subbed first, and then Operation Mystery.
I mean, that's probably the more important one, if we're being honest. Like, here's my thing. It would be deeply irresponsible for us to use the Ko-fi funds to get someone to do Horror Theater Unbalanced. But if there was one, if I had free money laying about and I could pay some guy to like do subs for a show, I would probably pick Horror Theater Unbalanced just for personal
unfortunately, we
enjoyment
don't have
reasons.
Enough coffee funds to actually do anything. But
yeah,
if we had enough to actually get the Ultra stuff done, then there's no reason not to use it for the other stuff after. So
yeah.
But yeah, Live King, apparently no designer is known. Unfortunately, it's that era where it's like, yeah, sometimes just things are not credited. And like we can make some guesses based on who's actually working on the show, but
Yeah.
apparently
Always a shame.
Apparently they had an idea that the original plan they had for is that there was a script idea where some kaiju remains will be transported to Zat HQ and then body reforms and starts rampaging, which is a cool episode idea, I think. It'd be cool if there was an Ultra show that does something like that, I think. Then we have the suit actor for Mother of Ultra is Makoto Yasutomi. There's no info on him either. But what you do know is that because he's a male actor, Subaru's like, we can't tell the children that the Mother of Ultra was played by a guy. It would break their dreams. And so they use uncredited.
The 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's funny.
Yeah. Very normal people at Super Rare Production.
Yeah. See, so it's interesting that kind of like this is kind of reverting to a like vision of gender that we used to have in Ultraman, and then Ultraman Ace tried to shake things up a little bit. Didn't get very far.
Quote unquote corrected
had a
its
bad
course.
time. Yeah, and then we course corrected. and now we're here back to, this is kind of regression.
Yeah.
But it's because it's like this kind of like thing where it's not like, the problem with Ace was that it took a risk and it went the worst it could possibly have gone. And so, safer, but like more like reliably enjoyable. This is going to be way more. This is going to loop back to being like more normal, quote unquote, about women. Normal in a way that is like not necessarily good or bad.
Now,
it's normal about women can mean many things.
It remains to be seen if Kenichi will take inspiration from Jiro and also watch Andrew Tate, but
I bet Kenichi. Yeah, here's the thing. I bet Kenichi won't be spouting off about women all the time, in the way that Jiro did. It is weird how much affection we have for the fact that Jiro did that, but I do have that affection nonetheless.
I think it's helped by the fact that other people in the show think it's weird and comment on it.
Other people who we'd still consider misogynist are commenting.
Like his older brother is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, who taught you this?
Where did you learn to talk like that?
Let me tell you. So not near the same age, but as someone who has a nephew who's getting a little bit older, and has had nephews previously, sometimes kids say some shit that's just like, who?
Would you say they say
where?
Would you say they say the darndest things?
Kids say the darndest things.
Yeah, I think I did say this something in effect in the Ace season where like after like the Bad Baron episode, where it's like we enjoyed that episode and we were like, if Taro is basically going to be like this, but because it's like that from the beginning instead of a weird retool thing, we'd probably like enjoy it more. And so far that seems to be the case, so we'll see how it goes because we got 50 episodes left, but so far good start, especially after the last one.
We will certainly see how the whole mother stuff plays out. That's like the one thing where I'm like, they could just lean into some stuff that's kind of weird and gross. Alternatively, they could lean into stuff that is absolutely catastrophically galaxy brained. There's you can get weird about mums. People can be real weird.
If there's a Showa Ultra era show that gets really weird about pro-life type shit, this is going to be the one.
Oh, absolutely. If Ultraman Taro prevents an abortion, we have to have this conversation again.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The idea never occurred to me.
It didn't until this conversation for me either, and now I'm kind of dreading. This is a very real.
You might have spoken it into existence. We'll count down until the abortion episode of Ultraman Taro.
We spoke the main character being the boat guy into existence. We do have powers.
The power. We can do it. It would
Jinxes aren't real, but our microphones are magic.
I want Ultraman Taro to go off on some like Kirei shit. like at the very there's some stuff going on. Anyway, do we have anything more to say about these episodes?
I don't think so. I'm happy. I was really. I'm not gonna lie. I was really worried going into these episodes. Like, am I gonna be a jaded, cynical asshole that like?
I think you were the worst, and I was most worried about going into these episodes. especially at the end of last episode, where you're like, I have less respect for Tokusatsu as a medium because of Ace.
Well, like it. I think it was less of the thing of like I don't know if it's respect of as much as it's just like I have such like a deeper understanding of how a show like this could go wrong and how like oh well we're gonna try going for something and then that falls apart and then everyone involved's like well fuck it let's just do the old thing that worked before and like who gives a shit. And like I was so concerned that their takeaway from that was like don't try anything new ever again, and instead they are trying something new, and it's let's go fucking silly mode.
Yeah.
And if there's something I love, it's going silly mode. But yeah, I was really worried going into this, like, am I just gonna be, like, primed to hate this and be uncharitable, and, like, I was kind of watching myself for it, and then I just started watching it, like, within, like, 5-10 minutes, I was like, no, I'm just having a good time, so.
Hell yeah.
We need the cleansing effect of Kotaro jumping to the ocean.
Yeah. He just flops. It's so good. Silly man.
Yeah.
It's the first thing he does. He walks on screen and goes, Tokyo, leap.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that Shinichi stays stupid.
Don't jump from a boat, by the way. If you do that, your chances of being rescued, especially if it's in motion, dire.
Yeah, listen, people, the sea is scary.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but like, stay in the boat.
Yes.
That's the idea.
They move faster than you think. You can also get sucked into bad shit way faster than you think. And if it's dark, it is going to be hard to see. There's so many reasons why you should not jump overboard, ever. It's almost universally a terrible idea. You will probably die.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
If you are the hero of an Ultraman show,
Yeah. You can
jump
just deal
overboard.
with it.
You can just handle
Yeah.
it. Do we have any color timers?
Yeah, I do.
Excellent.
Alright, so episode 1, 1 minute and 50 seconds. The Ultra Brothers collectively, Sand 7, has 1 minute and 32 seconds. And Mother has 1 minute 13 seconds. Episode 2.
All right.
1 minute 18 seconds. Mother has 29 seconds. Episode 3. Taro has 2 minutes and 9 seconds, and then 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And then Mother has 25 seconds, and then 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right. Sick. Do we have anything? Do we have any emails?
Yes, we have 3.
We have 3 emails? What the fuck?
Well, 2 of these, I think, were sent the same week that we dropped our Ace finale, so these have been waiting for a month. And then Cedric's Arcade one, like, an hour ago.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Cedric.
Timely.
Just on time.
Actually, no, it was 11, so it was like 3 hours ago. So I guess let me go through these. First one is by Aaron. I think they said they've been a big fan of our podcast for the last couple of months as they finally delved into Ultraman. They're lifelong Godzilla fan. This was always a blind spot for me, and it just seems so unimaginable that I figured it was a rain so. However, after watching Shin Ultraman and Ultraman Rising on Netflix earlier this year, I thought I would give it a go. I found your podcast, which provide the structure I needed to finally get going. I don't have much time.
That's awesome.
I don't have much time each week because of work and family, so I'm currently only up to about the midpoint of 7. It was a month ago, so it's probably updated by now. After watching all of Q and Man, I did watch all of Blazer on a weekend, though, and I'm caught up on Arc. Like Red said, if you watch the new ones and the old ones at the same time, they'll never make more you can watch.
Exactly.
Anyway, while it may be a long time until I hear your response, I want to let you know that I appreciate everything you're doing. Podcasts like yours about niche things are so important to fans like me, who otherwise have no one to discuss these cool and weird things with on a daily basis. At least where I am in the pod feed, seems like there's not a whole lot of emails or feedback, so I just want to let you know that I'm loving it, and I hope you continue for years. That's the schedule, at least.
Yep.
So far, that is the plan.
There's a lot of Ultraman. The question I have is based on an Ultra 7 episode I was listening to recently. They forgot which one. Red and this is cute, Ryzen. We're talking about how the suit looked bad for some alien. Again, I forget which one. And Red said that their brain just viewed this as, oh, that's a suit, that's kind of funny. for a long time when I was growing up watching Godzilla, this was just Godzilla. We didn't think about a man in a suit or differences with other types of effects because there weren't any other choices. But now when I watch these old kaiju shows and movies, you always must think of them as being in a suit. And when I watch Blazer, it's apparent that there's a choice to continue. There's a choice in continuing to use the suits. There are now other ways to do this with CG. Me editorializing, you can look at Godzilla -1 as an example of that. But it's probably this historical practical effects tradition of the series to still use suits, which they of course still love. The question is, what is the point where you think this becomes a legacy way of doing things versus the standard way? Or to put it a different way, when should we as an audience look back at the history of the franchise, view the choice to use suits as a choice to continue the legacy rather than just their standard mode of production? I know the answer, if there is one, is likely decades away from where the pod is now in viewing order, but I think it's an interesting question to think about. At what point does the audience view this first time and go, oh, this is the old style of special effects? Or at any point, does Zurak consider going to CG over practical effects to against it? Was it a money issue? Or is the fact that CGI is cheaper now a consideration going forward? I think it depends. Because I think my view as like a Toku fan is that like for TV stuff, it just kind of makes more sense to keep using the suits. So that, at least that seems to be the thing that Toei has been doing as well. Mm-hmm. And like we're seeing like CG Godzillas in like cinema, like, you know, movie scenes Godzillas, but would, like, if they made a new Godzilla TV show, would that be CG? It's hard to say.
This is also hard. Well, go ahead, Red, and then I'll cap off on something.
I mean,
related.
what I was going to say was my kind of view on this is like there's a level of continuity that I think
like institutional knowledge matters. I think.
Yeah. The fact that this is not something that has ever been abandoned and picked up again makes this, I think, a little different than like a legacy choice.
Yeah.
Like even as late as like the most recent Ultraman, I truly think just like the, you know, what they have in place, it is what they've had in place for decades. And so I have to assume that like this is the best way they have of doing things.
Yeah, like I'm sure they experiment with CG and stuff, but it's also like...
Yeah, I've seen clips of Dawn Brothers.
Yeah, well...
There's a motherfucker in that show that looks like a weird little, like, Sonic Forces OC that's just hanging out.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, like, I was kind of thinking that, like... I'm thinking a lot about, like... Do you remember when, like, the new Star Wars trilogy was coming out, and one of the big, huge conversations around, like, oh, what are we doing to make it different from the 2000s, like, prequel movies, was, oh, we want a greater emphasis on the practical effects and making things more physical. Funny you should say that, because
I kind of went back to starting at a more civilized age. A little last week. I ain't watching those Star Wars movies, though. I'm just gonna listen.
I should get back on that pod at some point in my life.
You should watch the prequel movies, though. They're good.
You should watch the prequel movies. I'm not going to say necessarily the second part Red did, but...
You've said on this podcast you hate Attack of the Clones.
The second movie is not good.
That movie's terrible.
But everyone should watch it at some point in their life.
I'll think about it. But I also have enough to play it at the moment.
You have to... It's a noir movie, and someone, like, forgot to explain the mystery.
Who is Sifo Dyas?
Red, you've surely seen the clip of someone explaining how ridiculous the layers of the assassination...
Course.
Yes.
Of course.
Of
course.
One of the best things.
Dooku hired a man.
They explained the plot, too.
Count Dooku hired somebody who hired Count Dooku had to kill someone, but didn't want to do it himself. So he hires
an assassin who hires another assassin.
So they hire another assassin, but they don't want to do this themselves.
Yeah.
So they send a droid, and if you want to get really picky, the droid sends bugs.
Someone sent me that they have a skip list for Somewhere Civilized Age 2, so...
Their skip list is very wrong. Is what I'll say.
Damn.
Their skip list is as wrong as ours.
Oh, so it's good.
Shut up.
I will forever stand by our skip list. I think that is the rawest, most pure form of a skip list I think we could have ever
It's the
come
one
up
that
with.
doesn't lie to you.
It's the one. All skip lists are lying to you, not ours. Ours is honest about the experience of watching Ultraman.
It's like when M says they watched Dragon Ball Kai, but also put the filler back in.
Included the filler.
So here's my honest to God thing about skip lists, that I don't use skip lists. And part of the reason is it's like, if I am bothering with a skip list to begin with, do I actually care enough to watch this thing to begin with?
That's my logic.
So, my logic is, if you're going to do the skip list route and you're already kind of like on it, you might as well also include some of the bad with the good. It's just honest.
Yeah. Anyway,
this all started with an email about suits.
Yes, okay, and I was getting to like the Star Wars thing when they were making the sequels. A lot of the conversation, both in fan circles and then also with the production itself of the movie, and like Abrams, was, we are going back to the old way of doing things rather than what it's become. And I personally just don't have enough knowledge of live-action Japanese television beyond, having seen, the occasional toku production here and there. I don't know the state of Japan's, specifically the state of Japan's, because I'm more familiar with, the movie side of things, what their, CGI industry looks like compared to, say, Hollywood. Obviously, it's ever present in, modern, especially, sci-fi and fantasy movies that they're making, stuff like that. But I don't know on the TV side of things how accessible that would be, especially considering, a lot of that stuff wasn't even as accessible here until, the streaming thing kind of took over. And now TV shows are being made more like miniseries and getting ballooned movie-esque budgets. And now we're starting to see more of a shift from the practical to the CGI for TV stuff. But I don't necessarily know if that's the case in Japan, even, where, that stuff is as economically, it just doesn't make as much sense of, hey, you get some really fucking talented people to make some really good-looking suits, get some really good miniature work going, and you have yourself a show. And you can reuse that stuff. You don't have to reanimate it every single fucking time.
Mm-hmm. And, there is a level of... There is a degree to which a real monster plowing through a miniature city looks way more expensive than a certain below a certain threshold of CGI.
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of practical reasons, and also I just think that because it's been because Sentai has been on the air, has had a series every year, I'm I think this is, you can't necessarily call it a legacy choice, because it's just been the choice.
Yeah, it's an institutional knowledge thing, I think, is the thing. And I think it pays dividends for them.
Yeah. But thank you very much for your email.
I'm gonna
it was very flattering. Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, because they have the question, but they have more to say after that on their own perspective as Godzilla fan. For Godzilla, we have a breakpoint in the series because in 98 and Godzilla 2000 happened in a short period of time. There was the CG Zilla in 98, which is, the bad American movie. And then Godzilla 2000 is a suit. Obviously, 2000 was more popular with fans and led to keeping practical effects and suits at the forefront throughout the rest of the aughts. But now with -1, especially considering all the effects wars they don't think Toho's ever going to go back to suits again. And obviously, the Monsterverse is also CG.
Yeah.
What I love most about Ultraman is that it's a straight through line from the original Godzilla suit effects to the present day. But I think that legacy going on for 7 years now is not going to resonate with the audience much longer. Is Ultraman Rising the future of the franchise? I don't think so.
I think Ultraman Rising's position as a a family animated movie.
Yeah, it's a Western family animated movie by a guy from Cartoon Network who had an idea, and he's it's different circumstances than Super Raya's own a mainline TV show stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then even Shin Ultraman is all CG stuff.
Yeah.
But that is kind of a unique situation. Like I don't know that that's gonna be like that's gonna be like a trendsetter.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see though. They say that
they still need to sell toys.
Yep. I guess this wasn't so much a straightforward question as jumping off point for ideas conversation. Yep, including Star Wars apparently. One last thing they want to say is that they've read a bit of the Marvel Comics Ultraman stuff that I showed the image of before. They say they're pretty good. Well, they actually say they're insanely good, so I guess they really like them. They're a regular thing. They say, there's only 3 TPBS now. I don't know what that is.
Trade paperbacks.
Okay. But there's primarily based on Ultraman and Ultra 7, so they get the references. And it seems like there's a bit of Ultra Q teasing in there, too. I don't know how we're going to do those, but I have, they're on the spreadsheet, because I'm like, well, there might be something we could look at some point, but I just don't know how we should do that, so
I still need to read that fucking novelization of the original Ultraman that I have on my bookshelf. That came out shockingly, not that long ago.
This is primarily an audio-visual podcast, but if there's, neat print stuff, we'll figure out a way to do it. Somehow. But I'm not in the deciding how to do things mode when I'm recording, though, so we'll see. Anyway, they say look forward to our response when they catch up, and maybe even talk about stuff, and they haven't gotten to there yet. Thanks again, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a shorter one from Jessica. Welcome back.
Hello.
This is about the Ace finale and the first Taro episode. So I know you people heard that people like Ace's finale, but I think it's more accurate to say they like Ace's final speech to the children. Don't be mean to the countries. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm still doing a little bit of a jerk off motion, jerk off motion, jerk off motion about it. I'm just like, it's not real.
Yeah. Even among the many people who dislike Ace, most fans think of this speech as like the platonic ideal of what Ultraman should strive to be. Whether or not the series actually lived up to that, well, I'd say they say they haven't watched enough Ultraman to be totally sure, and that's subjective anyway. On to fun Taro stuff. So I think this is... I don't know when this stuff gets confirmed. Well, I guess it is here. So it says Mother Ultra, for one, is actually referring to Taro's actual biological mother, but also confirms the existence of female Ultraman, or Ultrawoman. So based on what you've seen so far, do you think A, mother and father of Ultra are married? B, that any of the other Ultra brothers are their biological kids? And C, what do you think of the state of women's rights in the Land of Light?
The state of women's rights in the Land of Light have got to be bad.
They cannot vote.
But I don't think they're married either.
I completely opposite. I think they are married, and I think they're going to now more than ever emphasize and underline the brothers part of Ultra Brothers.
I'm gonna hold on to this tiny little bit of hope that they are not married.
I'm gonna hold on to the knowledge I'm poisoned by.
Okay, there you go. If I see what an Ultra being wedding looks like, that's gonna be hilarious.
What was the biological kids question? What do you think?
What was the biological kids bit?
Are any of the other Ultra brothers also her, or if they're married, their biological kids?
I am going to go out on a limb and say that even if they did not intend for it before, with the introduction of Ultraman Taro's birth, I think I have a feeling they're going to retroactively kind of weld it all together so that all of the Showa era boys, the main guys, are all brothers of one nuclear family.
Okay.
It's too clean. They got a mom now. They had the dad last time. Like, they're gonna try to wrap a bow on it. And I think maybe, like, whenever we get into the new era of Ultraman after it's not been on TV for a while, maybe we'll start to get something separate from that. But I think this is going to be all made into one big tight family.
All right.
I am going to keep on my weird bullshit, and I'm going to say that as she is the mother of Ultraman Taro, she's also the mother of Ultra 7, and the others are sons of someone else.
Ooh, that could... You know what? That might be a good point, because the designs are...
I'm getting into the lineage here.
Yeah.
I'm also poised by knowledge on this front, so I'm not gonna say anything.
You're poisoned.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Also, she thinks the Stream Beam is her favorite show, Ultra Beam, and finds the Ultraman number 6
It looks cool.
I find Ultraman number 6 thing really funny because Zoffy doesn't actually have...
Yeah, it's like a good moment when it first gets used.
Yeah. I think there's a bit in like the birthing scene of Taro where they just use the background effect from the Ace opening.
Oh.
It's just like, oh, I've seen that. I've seen the
one thing this is really stupid. This is really... Let me find the screenshot I took.
Yeah.
And let me just post it and see if I get the same reaction that I had. Scroll down here. This is a audio podcast. Very sorry, listeners. But this image was... I was just like...
there it is.
Yeah.
That's just like... Hokuto in the Saddam Hussein hole. There we go. Right. That was what I was having.
Anyway, she finds the Ultraman number.
I called him
6.
Hokuto. I'm so sorry, Koto.
Yeah, that man's dead.
Yeah, Hokuto's dead. Thank God.
He doesn't even get to speak this time around when he shows up. It's so great.
Get fucked. Anyway.
Get fucked.
Anyway, she finds the Ultraman number 6 in the opening. Really funny. Because Zoffy doesn't actually have the Ultraman title. Presumably because he's never actually done Protect of the Earth for full time. And only comes to help out here, Zoffy style. It is funny. We finally have Ultra 6 guys.
Yeah. What if Zoffy isn't actually... Like, maybe he's not the one brother.
He's adopted.
He's the one that's not related.
Yeah, he's just the dude. He's just like the neighbor who just hangs out at their place a lot, so he might as well be family. Oh, I'd love that so much. Like, he is invited to Thanksgiving, but he's not blood.
Here's the thing. He's like best friends, like absolute best bros with Ultraman. But do you think he tries a little hard to be older brother to the other ones as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, like, he has keys to the back doors of the house and shit, and, like, gets their mail in when they're on vacation. If he's not invited to the vacation himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go up to the little cabin in the Land of Light. Oh, you know what? They're a hunting family, and they fucking hunt long and hard.
Oh my God, they do. They hunt kaiju in space.
Father of Ultra on a fucking lawn chair and flannel with a beer open, watching his sons, and goes, good job this fall, boys. Making Dad proud.
Oh my God. Instead of like heads of animals, they have to just get little pieces from when they beam them and they explode.
Make it into jerky.
Oh.
This is the worst family. This is yeah.
It's gonna be really funny. As our podcast is bigger and more Ultraman fans find our podcast and go, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
What are they talking about?
Listen, we're just experiencing it as it comes.
Yeah.
What the people making the show decided to do decades from now will slowly uncover this tapestry of history together.
We're doing our own audio Shoji Otomo bit.
But about stuff that actually matters, like how they spend their free time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of like fucking how big their index fingers are.
They'll have one last thing to share, which is apparently in one of the manga, presumably not especially canon in the modern era, I assume. Ultraman 2 as a kid, and there's pictures of them. It's processing. You can process faster, Discord. There you go.
There we go. Oh, look at this.
Oh,
This is amazing. This is exactly what we're talking about.
yeah.
They're teaching him how to do the beam.
Apparently it's Ultraman Jr. I'm not sure which manga or who the artist is, just from these. Because there's a lot of Ultraman manga happening this time, which we may touch on in the future. But yeah, it's just kind of it is funny. Look at him. But yeah, thank you once again, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you.
And finally,
And we have fourth chair.
yeah, fourth chair,
Cydrixer has emailed in.
took a break rightfully during Ace. Because he has that freedom.
Yeah. We didn't.
We did not. They say Ultraman number 6.
Yeah.
Oh boy, back to the Ultra Grindstone, and what a show to return to. One of the most zany, wacky, and out of nowhere left turns into what the fuck seasons of the entire franchise.
Good.
Taro is a show
Yeah.
that he has had a mixed history with. It is by no means bad. In fact, it stands as a particularly popular series in Japan, but sometimes it can get a little much for him in particular. So we'll see how we feel. A lot of people label this one as a kiddie one, nothing more, but that's to take into account certain quotes, things that happen later on. Okay, that's interesting. Something I find.
Okay, the other thing it doesn't take into account is they're all kiddie ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true.
They're all for children. Some of them are a little more for children, some of them are a little less for children, but they are all for children. We're all watching children's TV here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I find really funny is how they really screw themselves over saying that in Ace they have monsters that are more powerful than other monsters, and then they introduce monsters that are more powerful than the monsters more powerful than those monsters. It's genius.
Yeah.
There's not continuous trend.
We just gotta get rid of those troju.
Yeah, parenthetical.
Get 'em
There's
out
not
of
a continuous trend. Just to assure us, they're not power loving kaiju until Leo.
Nice.
As I'm sure y'all have discussed already, this show is very much fairy tale / folklore inspired, with names like Ultraman Star and Ultraman Jack. Yep, even being considered for Taro's name for taking the more Eastern approach. Also, yes, we actually have biological familial relationships introduced now after the Ultras. So Jix are saying, yeah, the Ultra Brothers are more of a brotherhood, and Father Title being a title was more. Seems what their plan was for Ace, I guess. There's something that Jix doesn't really mind at all. I think it leads to some interesting character work both in the show and later down the line. One has to wonder, though, how Taro ended up looking like Stefan with horns when his parents are more looking like LG Ultraman. But, genetics.
Sometimes something comes back from back in the line.
Solid Snake Voice, who had the dominant genes.
Who had the dominant genes?
Speaking of family stuff, now that the OG Ultra Bros have been introduced, allow me to present you all with the official... Okay, so I guess the Jix is going to spoil it, unless you just want to... Do you want to hear it?
We'll hold off, maybe.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I would
Let me
proceed
present
to be
you.
on the side
Let
of
me just say what the sentence is. Allow me to present to you all the official family tree up until this point, as revealed in contemporary magazines and encyclopedia books. Okay, so it is something I hope you'll keep track of as long as it may expand later, or maybe it changes. So, okay, how do you feel about it now in that context?
Okay, so this is not necessarily true.
Yes, it could be wrong, and it could like change it. It could be, but it could also be a foundation they use for the future. But I guess like this could be things that kids were reading at the time, and informing the ratings of the show.
Okay. Okay. In which, as it's like information from the time.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Yeah.
If it was just like them saying what the modern canon was, I'd be like, nah. But if it's magazine, it's fine.
Yeah.
Something I hope you'll all keep a track of as we go along, because it may expand later. Ahem. Original Ultraman's dad is an officer of the Space Garrison, which is the wider group all the Ultra Bros are members of, with his mother being a teacher at Ultra School. Ultraman 2's dad is likewise a member of the Space Garrison, with his mother being a medic. Now things get interesting. So we have Father Ultra and Mother Ultra, who of course have their son Taro. Then Mother Ultra has 2 younger sisters, one of whom is Ultra 7's mother. 7 also is a sister, apparently. The other is Ultraman 2's wife.
What?
Zoffy's dad. His mom is unknown.
Wait, whoa. What was that last bit? Someone's wife was... What? Go?
Mother Ultra has 2 younger sisters, one of whom is Ultra 7's mom, who also is a sister. Ultra 7 does. And the other is Ultraman 2's wife, somehow. Zoffy's dad.
Okay.
His mom is unknown. Was besties with Father Ultra, but died in the war alongside both of Ace's parents, with father and mother.
The war?
It says a war, actually, but you know. With Father Ultra and Mother Ultra adopting him after the fact, making him the adopted brother of Taro. All of this information...
Wait, only of Taro?
Yes, I guess. Ace specifically. All this information has never technically been contradicted, so perhaps it's still canon.
Wow.
I will say, based on future knowledge, and I won't specify which, some of this stuff never comes up, and some of this stuff does. But I won't say which.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Okay. Wait. Okay. So, that didn't cover all of them. That didn't cover the origin of all of the Ultra Brothers, I feel like.
Why not? They're all there.
Okay. Well, it all makes sense now.
Of course.
Everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Were we right about... We were right... Does that mean we were right about Zoffy?
Maybe.
And Zoffy's vibes?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
We'll uncover the secrets, if how much this is real in the future.
Secrets revealed.
Because I think some of this stuff is just going to be more real if they actually reference it, and some of this stuff is just going to be like, well, yeah, that's... They said it there, and it's never come up again, so... Mm-hmm. So we'll see. And they say, on the bombshell, I bid you farewell.
All right.
Farewell.
Thank you for that email, Sidrexer.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for all their emails.
Yeah. That last one has terrorized my brain a little bit, but I'll allow it. Do we have anything more to say before we go into plugs?
I think the only thing we need is we have to do some housekeeping, and that's all.
We do have to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah.
The schedule has been shifted around a little bit.
First things first, Brad, would you want to tell your availability in the coming few weeks?
I am going to be gone next Sunday, the 22nd. So we can't record then. And then I'm also going to be gone October 6th.
Yeah, so you're going to be gone alternating weeks.
Yes.
This brings us to the next point, where we, drumroll, reveal the thing we're going to do for Taro for the numbering.
To make the numbers make sense.
Yes. And because it's technically Brad's idea, do you want to do the honors?
Yes. So, You may remember all the way back on the first episode of this podcast when we elaborated upon our tokusatsu history, I discussed the fact that I had gone through what I can only call a weird bio booster armor Guyver phase of my life, including the 2 live-action Hollywood Guyver movies that were made in the 90s. And I thought maybe it'd be fun to sprinkle in a little bit of Guyver goodness and go down a trip through memory lane for me, and then also I believe it's going to be both of you, neither of you have seen this before, correct?
No experience.
Never in my life.
All right, so we're going to be watching Guyver 1, and then following up with the sequel, Guyver 2, Dark Hero.
Yeah. So basically, this doing these movies means that there'll be let me start with that. Next week, we're watching, Brad's not here, so we're just watching 3 episodes of Taro as usual. The week after, Brad is here, and we'll be watching 2 episodes of Taro and the first Guyver movie.
Yes.
And then the week after that, Brad's not here again, so we're watching 3 episodes of Taro. We're just going to do back and back, but just the way for the break pushed the schedule a bit, so we had to adapt. And then on the week after Brad gets back. So that's like 4 weeks from now or so, 5 weeks from now. The 13th of October, middle October, we'll be watching the second Guyver movie with 2 episodes. And then after that, it's just normal episodes numbering for Taro. Everything, all the 2-parters and stuff are all lined up perfectly. And it's all good. And of course we'll repeat these, as the weeks come. And the last thing is, in light of us doing that stuff and our break, we don't know when the next arc will be. It'll be after we do this movie, though, because that's the pain to deal with that with the Brad schedule and the movies. So we're technically behind schedule on arc, but it's fine. We're doing batches anyway.
We will manage.
We'll figure it out. And then presumably we'll figure out when to squeeze in The Last Mirror Man. We'll figure that out after. Also, specifically for me, the second August pod episode was recorded last week, and it'll be out when it's out.
Yeah,
we're juggling many things.
You've been watching August in your break.
Yes. Which has been an experience.
And with another podcast that was on break.
Yes. Very funny how that worked out.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way I live my life, I couldn't listen to that until I actually watch August. But maybe that'll happen at some point. I'm sure it's a good podcast.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I had the same thing where I'm like, fuck, I want to watch that, so I'll hold that until I do at some point watch that show.
Yeah.
Go listen to that. And is that?
Yeah.
So we just into plugs now. Okay. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, we are still on Twitter. Everywhere else is co-host is dying.
Yeah.
Rip co-host.
We are definitely not on co-host.
We're not on co-host.
Yeah.
But we are on Twitter, and you can follow us at @ultra_Q. That is at @ultra_QUEUE.
Yeah. Also, I made a Blue Sky account for the podcast.
We're on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
Yes, but you can't actually do underscore. So just same things. Just remember the underscore, and you're good.
Okay, so it's Ultra Q without a space.
Yes.
Okay, at Ultra Q. That is at Ultra QUEUE on Blue Sky. Hell yeah, Mal.
Oh, don't you want to plug your Twitter, Fred?
I feel like the frequency with which I just talk shit about someone means no. But I'm easy to find.
Yeah.
Mal.
Anyway, I'm at Duke Crowns on Twitter and Blue Sky. We have the email ultraqpod@gmail.com, and as we discussed in this episode, ideally we have a coffee for ideally helping to fund some subtitles for stuff that there's gaps for. That's UltraQ Fund on Coffee. Brad.
Yeah, you can find me at BeInvoked. That's BE_INVOKED on Twitter. Also on YouTube. Mel and I are trying to find times to squeeze in Tales of the Abyss streams when we can. This is kind of tricky, but
Yeah, I like some busy.
yeah.
This may or may not be the longest episode we've had, depending on how this gets edited.
Severely.
Yeah.
There's stuff to be cut here and there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
We'll see. When it's out.
It will not be our longest. This is my project is to make sure that this is not our longest episode.
Yeah.
I'd be concerned if it was, but we'll see.
That's what happens when you take a break.
That's what happens when you take a break. Join us next time for 3 more episodes of Ultraman Taro. And see ya.
See everyone.
Later.
宇宙に平和が来るまでは力を合わせるんだ6兄弟太郎行くぞみんな揃い今が地球を救う時だぞ進め進め進め守れ守れ守れ我らウルトラ6兄弟ウルトラ父の教え子が今こそ手をつなぐぞ6兄弟だろう行けよ叫ぶ声を星の勇士が飛んでいくのだ進め進め進め守れ守れ守れ